All right.
That's me. Hang on. The quote. No, I got to figure out how to.
Therefore, okay. All right. Hello, everyone. It's 6:37 p.m. I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the September 10th, 2025 meeting of the CB2 Land Use and Housing Committee. I would like to go around and have the committee introduce themselves. I am Eugene Yu, Chair of the Land Use and Housing Committee.
Katie Bordenaro, Vice Chair of the committee.
Ella Fitzgerald, member of the board and the committee.
Susan Wittenberg, board member, committee member.
Carter Booth, board member and committee member.
Donna Raftery, board member, committee member.
Arturo Fernandez, board member and committee member.
And then online, if we could go to committee members.
Frederica Siegel, committee member.
Hi, Frederica.
There.
Okay. And do we have anyone else from? She's no, but she's we should introduce her as the former chair. And we have Susan Kent, former CB2 chair. All right, and is Valerie on?
Zero.
Okay,
Not a zero.
all right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So we have a full agenda for today. We are going to have a slight change in the order of the presentation. So the first item on the agenda was 51 Little West 12th Street. We will get to that when we get to the business session. This is a continuation of an application that we heard at the previous Land Use and Housing Committee meeting. So we'll go on to item number 2, which is 126 Lafayette Street. This is a presentation and discussion of a project to construct a mixed-use building that will consist of 99 residential units, of which 25 shall be affordable units that will be inclusionary units as part of the Mandatory Inclusionary Housing program. If we have the presenters for 126 Lafayette, if they could, are they promoted, Mark? Yeah, if they raise their hands, then we can have you share your presentation and go ahead and introduce your team.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming. My name is Ting Paka. I am a partner at the law firm Adler and Stackenfeld, and I am here to represent the developer of 126 Lafayette with their MIH application before this community board. I am the lead attorney on this project, and I am joined here by some of my colleagues, including my partner, Alvin Shine, my partner, Stacy Jacobson, and my associates, Scott Schreiber and Zach Nathanson. I am also joined here by representatives of the development team. I am joined by Nick DeSantnik and Juan Brito Jimenez. Together, they are here on behalf of High Street Residential. And finally, we are also joined by Paul Healy, who's representing the architect team of Marvel. So Nick and Juan, why don't you introduce yourselves?
Just time out for a minute. Who are Jed Weiss and Lou Madigan involved with this application?
No.
No, they're the next.
Okay. Thank you. Maybe we should. We said Jed Weiss. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you.
I was just going to hand the mic over to my clients, Nick and Juan.
Perfect. Well, thank you for the introduction, Ting, and it's great to be with you all this evening. As Ting mentioned, we're with High Street Residential, which is the multifamily and residential focused affiliate of Trammell Crow Company. We have about 75 years of development experience across the U.S., including almost 50 years here in the Northeast. Our High Street Residential team here in New York is really focused on building the highest quality apartments at a range of different income levels, primarily focused on for rents rather than to own. And we're always looking for the best sites in the best neighborhood. And we're excited to be here to talk about this one because we feel like it checks those boxes particularly well. I think Paul Healy, who's our architect, is here on screen, so I'll let him introduce himself and get into some materials.
Good evening, all. My name is Paul Healy. I'm a director at Marvel, and we're the architects for the proposed development at 126 Lafayette. Our offices where I'm sitting are actually quite local to the project, so we know the project site very well. We also do a lot of work in multifamily residential, and both market rate and affordable housing accounts for a large portion of our projects. I will share the presentation now. Please let me know if you can see it. Everybody see that okay? Great. Okay. So the project site shown here in red is located along Lafayette, just north of Canal Street between the areas of Soho, Chinatown, Little Italy, Tribeca. The site is located within the M15 R10 portion of the SNX Soho NoHo mixed use district, which is mapped with MIH as Ting said, and the proposed new development will be located on block 209, lot 21. And these are some photos showing the site as it is today, currently a vacant lot. The building to the north, the 11 Howard Hotel, is a 14-story brick building. The building to the south is a 5-story hotel. And a little further up Lafayette Street, past Howard Street here, is the NoMo, the 26-story NoMo Soho Hotel. And the proposed building will comply with height and setback zoning requirements of the SNX mixed-use district. The building will have a base height under the maximum allowable height of 155 feet, where it'll set back 10 feet along Lafayette Street and rise to the maximum building height of 275 feet, or 25 stories. And the building is designed to have a base height that matches the height of the neighboring building to the north, the Howard Hotel. And above this, the form steps twice at the 15th and the 20th floor to create a more slender building massing as it rises. This is a building massing view looking west along Canal Street, where you can see the form of the building in context just to the left of the taller NoMo Soho Hotel in Lafayette. And we studied the features and proportions of the buildings in the wider context and the direct neighboring buildings along Lafayette, and noted the rich history of red brick in the immediate area, and decided that was the most appropriate facade material for the proposed building. This is a detailed view showing the proposed building designed with this contextual brick facade. Much consideration was given to the detailed design of the brick and how we might achieve a sense of depth and shadow through a layering of horizontal and vertical planes in the brick facade. Illustrated in the diagram on the right, which draws upon our studies of both the contextual brick and the cast iron buildings in the neighborhood. This is the first floor plan showing the main residential lobby off Lafayette Street in yellow. All the residential space is yellow. The red is the commercial space. And at the first floor, we have the lobby, we have the mail room and the package room, and we have amenity space for the residents at the rear, along with a residential amenity terrace. And then the retail space is around 2,000 square feet on a single story. And this is a typical residential floor plan, this one being the 3rd to 7th floor plan. You can see the residential units are organized around a core that's located towards the north of the site, along the north facade. And there's a mix of market rate and affordable units distributed through the building. So there are 99 residential units in total proposed. 25 units will be affordable, 74 market rate, which equates to approximately 25.5%. And 52% of the affordable units will be 2 beds, 24% will be 1 beds, and 24% will be studios. And this is a stacking chart showing the affordable units will be distributed over 18 of those 23 residential floors. This is at 78%, this exceeds the 65% minimum MIH requirement for distribution. And the average size of the affordable units will be the same or larger than the market rate units per unit type. The development will be MIH option 1. 25% of the residential floor area will be at 60% AMI weighted average. At least 10% of the square foot will be at 40% AMI. No more than 3 income bands and no income band greater than 130% AMI. And that's the end of this presentation.
Thank you. I have a few questions. Could you actually go back a few slides?
Sure.
Well, thank you for the presentation, first of all.
Sure.
It's very helpful. I found some of the tables are a little difficult for us to read at that
Sure.
resolution.
Yeah, I can go back.
Maybe if you could step us through some of the unit counts and the MIH mix that you're targeting. What is the total buildable FAR on the site? Are you meeting the max FAR? Or are you underbuilding? What's going on there?
We're just under currently the max, which is about 87,000 square feet available to us.
87,000 square feet. Okay, and you are building, is that the max or that is what you're building?
We're building currently, things are a little bit in flux with the residential or the deductions we're taking from mechanical and plumbing, but yeah, just shy of that, I would say. We're keeping a little buffer.
Okay, and in terms of the total number of units, is that the maximum number you can build, exactly 99?
I think for the floor area, yes, it is. It depends on obviously the size of the units and the unit mix, but that's, that leads us in a comfortable place for the massing that we want.
Is there a particular reason you landed at 99?
I think there's probably other decisions that go into that in terms of ownership, but in terms of the design of the building, it suits the massing and the relatively small mid-block site. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a very tall building, and it looks like it could probably support, I don't know, well over 100 units. I'm just kind of curious. You're sitting right at 99. I'm just wondering if there's a financial reason for that number.
Yeah, well, in terms, like, just answer the architectural side of it. I think the footprint of the building is actually, this is the 3rd to 7th floor. So this is the typical residential floor, and really we're building out the maximum footprint that we can with the required rear yard, with an inner court that we have at the rear. We are going right up to that maximum base height, that 155 feet at this portion, and then we do start to set back a little bit as we go up.
Sure.
And we go all the way up to the 275. So we're building pretty much the bulk that we can. We could potentially, push out in a couple areas where we're setting back. But yeah, the 99 units is a comfortable fit for the massing.
Paul, just to add a bit of color there on the business side, we did look at some scenarios with more or less units. I think to Paul's point, the geometry of the site and the overall size of the site was a bit challenging. I think we moved around the stair tower and the elevator core a number of times, try to maximize rentable square footage. What we found was as we added units, that necessarily meant the existing units got smaller and smaller. And when we looked at, where competitive units were renting in the markets, we didn't think these were going to meet the demands of the renters that are currently active here. So that was really the cap that we ran into, and how we landed at 99 units.
Okay. And could you talk about any subsidies that you're getting from the city in terms of any tax programs that the building is being built under, or leveraging any subsidies?
Sure. So no subsidies per se.
Okay.
We are planning King's assistance to apply for the 485X tax abatement. A set of requirements that is distinct from MIH but overlap. So we're planning on meeting both the requirements of MIH and the 485X program so we can apply under it.
Okay. All right. Any other questions from committee members?
That's 3. Okay, first of all, what is your name? Your name isn't appearing. I don't know I don't know.
Sorry, I think it's the names are appearing as kind of whoever logged in, so.
Yeah, what's your name, Juan?
My name is Juan Brito Jimenez.
Can you rename yourself so that we can know what that is? Can you put that in the chat or something? It's good to identify all the people.
Put it in the chat.
Thank you. And secondly, my second question is, are any of the MIH units getting some of the terraces that we saw? Are there terraces associated with apartments?
Yes, we don't have very many terraces, I think 3 in total. One of those will be for an MIH unit.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a proportionality between the, the terraces for the market rate units and the MIH units, so we comply with that.
And did you send us this document already?
No,
I don't believe we sent this yet.
So please, can you send it after this presentation?
And could we go back to the MIH mix slide? I think that was another slide that kind of went fairly quickly in the presentation. The next
Sure.
slide after, I think it was the slide after this. Yes.
Yep. This one here, yeah.
Is there any way to make this a little bit bigger so we could
Yeah, sure, I can zoom.
kind of walk us through this? So, so there are 25 affordable units,
Correct.
correct? Okay, and then they are, is this describing per floor, the distribution?
Yeah, so just to talk through this a little bit, this
Sure.
is, these are the chunks of the building, I guess. You've got the lower base. This would be at the base height here, the underside of the 15th floor, where we're
Okay.
setting back that required setback. So, in that lower portion of the building, we have a bigger floor plate. So
Right?
we can accommodate 6 units on these lower floors, 2 to 7, and then 5 units from 8 to 14. We have a requirement per the MIH requirements that 50% of the affordable units must be 2 beds. So we're getting a line of 2 beds in from 2 to 14 that are all affordable. So that gets us to, I think, 13 of the 25 are 2 beds. So that gets us to 52%. So they're distributed right up to 14. And then when we get to the setback floors, our unit count goes down. So we have 3 to 4 units on this chunk between 15 and 19. And we have, on every floor, we have at least 1 MIH unit up to the 20th floor. Yeah, and that's, as I mentioned, there is a zoning requirement to distribute these units over 65% of the floors, which would be 15 floors. But, in us carefully working this out, we've distributed over 18 of those floors instead.
Okay, and then do you have the income bands already at this point, or is that premature?
Yes, we do have the income bands.
Okay,
The income bands are 40, 60, and 100 AMI.
I do have, sorry, I know this is very, very hard to see, but I can zoom in. So we have listed all these unit sizes and the bands.
So you'll see that the income bands are scattered throughout the building. We're not segregating any part of the building with any particular AMI band. So they're spread. So they're spread throughout.
100% is all. We need to see this
Well,
on paper.
yeah, could you? All right, could we, yeah. So this is at the top. Are we going from the bottom?
This is the bottom, so this is level 2. So
Okay.
I can kind of scroll.
Yeah, if you could just slowly scroll
Slowly
through, so we
down.
could take a
Yeah.
look.
So you've got level 2 here, these units, and then you've got level 3. These are 5 units in level 2, 6 units in level 3. And the distribution is spread. So you got 60, 60, 40, 60, 40.
Mhm.
4th floor is 60, 40. And that's the same. Level 8 is 60, level 9 is 40, level 10 is 60, level 11, 40, level 12, 100, level 13, 60. Level 14, 100, level 15, 60, level 16, 60, and level 17, 100. And then 18, 60, and 19 is 100.
Okay, so all the hundreds are kind of on the premium higher floors? That's what it looks like. Like the first 100 is at level
Level 12.
12, okay.
Frederica's had her hand up for a while when you're ready.
Oh, yeah. Frederica, it looks like you have a question.
Yeah, sorry, I have a couple. I really
So-
want to embrace this building. We crave affordable housing, so thank you for bringing it to us. I was expecting that the distribution of apartment types for the affordable would mirror the distribution of the apartment types for the market rate. But that's not the case. Is that not an MIH rule that you have the same distribution of apartment types for both groups?
So the zoning resolution allows two options. The first option is the proportionality option that you're describing, and the second option is what we colloquially refer to as the 2-bedroom option. The project here is satisfying the unit distribution requirements by proceeding with the 2-bedroom
And that's
requirement.
50% of the type of apartment?
So the 2-bedroom test, so to speak, is all of your out of all of your affordable units, at least 50% of the affordable units must be 2 bedrooms, and no more than 25% can be studios.
Okay, thank you. About the finishes and the access to the amenities in the building, are the finishes for both types of apartments going to be the same, and will the affordable residents have the same access to the amenities?
So finishes in both apartment types are comparable. We switch different apartment types as we go through the building, and access to amenities is throughout. We are not handicapping or putting a cap on anyone in the building to access those spaces.
So for example, if there's a workout room, everybody has access to it.
Yes.
Okay.
And for example, with the finishes, if there's stainless steel in one type of apartment, there will be stainless steel in the other types of apartments as well.
Okay.
So when you enter an apartment, you won't know what type of apartment you're entering. They will all look and feel the same.
Great. So it's 60% AMI, average AMI, 10% is 40%, and then what's the? Okay, no more than. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Eugene.
Yeah. Katie?
Yeah, so you said the finishes are comparable, Juan, but we want them to be identical. Are they identical?
We mentioned comparable because as we go up the building, we get into different types of units that we're trying to market in different ways. So basically throughout the building, slight changes happen and it's throughout.
Could you give maybe a more concrete example of how the finish might be?
I would say
Or
if there's a 1-bedroom on floor 10 that's the affordable, and a 1-bedroom on floor 10 that's the regular, where they both have the same units,
Same-
appliances.
same brands, the same, right?
Quality.
They will look and feel the same.
So that's a no, right?
Okay, we got that. Okay, but then the other thing is, are there any charges for any of the amenities in the building? Extra charges for access?
Fees, yeah.
So I believe we're still finalizing our decision on that. I think for some of the market rate units, there may be a charge for some of the amenity access, but not for the affordable units.
And and even though they're not paying, they would have the same access as a paying customer, hours.
To the exact same
Everything.
amenities, not
Yes.
comparable amenities, but the same amenities.
There is one set of amenities in the building, so yes.
Okay, that's very important to us.
Yeah, so ownership is deliberately providing the amenities free of charge to the affordable tenants, and they will be requiring or they're considering charging an amenity fee to the market rate tenants, but the affordable tenants will absolutely not be charged any amenity fee.
And they will have the same access, the same hours, whatever.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Stella?
Just to follow up, earlier Katie asked a question about the terraces. And you said that the terraces are associated with individual units rather than public to the whole building. Is that right?
Yes and no. So there are three what we're calling private terraces that'll be affiliated with individual units. One of those terraces will be for an MIH unit. There are also two public terraces that are attached to the amenities. So on the first floor, there's an outdoor kind of ground level terrace that is an extension of the co-working lounge on the first floor. And then on the top floor, there's an outdoor terrace that attaches to the amenities up there. That'll have, an electric grill, seating area, things of that nature. And those are available to all tenants in the building.
Okay, thank you.
Carter?
I was just gonna say, I put in the chat sort of some of the breakdowns of the AMIs, and there's some other comments in the chat about what the rents in 2025 would be.
Based on the AMI.
AMI, just if people want to have a better idea of what the rents.
40 and 60 and 100 is,
Yeah, it breaks. So for example,
what is it for a 2-bedroom?
so a 2-bedroom, 100% AMI is 3645. It's 60%, it's 2187 is the rent, and then at 40% it's 1458.
So I want us to slightly correct that, like the numbers that you listed are correct, but you're listing the gross affordable rents, the maximum that a landlord can charge before utility allowances are deducted. Meaning the policy is that if an owner, the requirement rather is that if an owner is passing on utility costs to the tenant, where the tenant will have to pay out of pocket for utilities, then the formula for the AMI rents takes that into account. So the owner, the rent that the owner can collect in the various AMI bands is deducted. And we perform the math. And for the 2 bedrooms, after the utility deductions, the 100 AMI for a 2-bedroom, the rent will be $3,256. For 60 AMI, a 2-bedroom will be $1,798. And for 40 AMI, the 2-bedroom rent will be $1,069.
What are the utilities, just so we can have a better understanding of what's deducted?
This would be an all-electric building. So it's going to be, so the tenant will be responsible for apartment electricity. They'll be responsible for electric heat and electric hot water and electric cooking.
Okay, so that entire bill is on the tenants, the variability.
Correct.
Katie?
Well, is this a master metered building, or are they going to be paying individually to Con Ed?
It will be a sub-metered building.
Okay,
It has its own hot water heater and everything.
yeah, what does there was some term I didn't understand. What kind of hot water heater are you providing? Restrained, restricted? Was an adjective I didn't understand.
On demand.
Can you describe the hot water heater at all?
Flush.
The hot water heater will be in the unit. I can get back to you on specific specs.
Well, resistance type is what it's.
So is it on demand or is it a tank?
It's on demand.
It's on demand. Okay, I understand. You don't have to get back. Okay.
Any other questions from the committee? I'd like to see if there are any questions from the public. If there are, I'm sorry? Oh, yes. Could you take the presentation down or stop the sharing?
And they're done?
Yes, yeah, just stopped.
Oh, I can do it, sorry.
Okay. Laura, we have two questions so far. So we'll start with Laura Tenenbaum.
No,
Yeah.
I would promote it.
Just promote them.
Hi.
Laura.
My shoulder. Just a quick question. Thank you for the presentation. I live just off of Lafayette Street, a couple of blocks north. I guess it's about almost 1,000 feet, I guess, north. But I expect this to be in part of my skyline from the back of my loft. And I guess I'm curious, two things. What is the north face? Because that's what I'm going to be seeing look like. It doesn't seem as if it's going to have any breaks. Is it just straight brick, or what is that architecturally?
Yeah, it is a lot line.
But it should not be, no.
It's lot line, so.
It's a lot line condition. So we are
Yeah.
restricted in terms of openings. You know, we can get 10% openings on that lot line. So we do have some windows in that, but it is largely a lot line.
And
line
so
facade.
what is the material going to be for that? I mean, is it going to continue the architecture,
Laura.
what the materials there, or is it going to be
Laura,
cinder
So,
block?
so if we could have all of the questions at once, and then we'll have.
Okay, fine. So
what
that
if-
was one question.
Okay.
The other question is, I noticed that one of the amenities is a dining room and demo kitchen. Is this a concept that you're eventually going to have a liquor license or something like that there? Is it, or is it just actually for the use of the residents solely? Or,
I can. No, there's no plan for any sort of liquor license. This is just for the residents. The intention of it is to have spillover space if you're hosting a birthday party or a baby shower and you need more space than is available just in your unit. You have a place to go and, you know, serve a cake or, you know, pass around hors d'oeuvres, that sort of thing.
and third question, is there going to be any activity on the roof?
Yes.
On the,
The high roof, or
yeah,
there
the
is
high roof. I know you're going to have the terrace a little bit.
right. No, the
below.
terrace is the last tenant accessible space. The high roof
Okay.
is needed for you know, ancillary
Right,
mechanical.
okay. Mechanicals. Okay, that's it. Thank you. I didn't get an answer on the materials, though.
Yes.
Yeah, to answer your question, it is a continuation of the facade. It is treated slightly differently because it's more solid, but we are continuing the brick around to a certain point, and we have some window openings there as well.
Thank
But
you.
it isn't as open in terms of windows as the other sides.
Yeah, thank you. One last question. Sorry. I'm going to do this to you guys. I'm so sorry. In the first drawing of the building, it looks as if you have an extension onto Canal Street. What's that? You know, the orange that you have.
Do you mean, sorry, you mean the plan of the site?
The plan of the site, yes, the site plan.
Yeah, the zoning lot is comprised of 2 tax lots. So there is a tax lot.
Oh, it's 2 lots.
Yeah, that's right. There is the construction, the new building is just on 1 tax lot, but it is 2 separate tax lots, 21 and 25.
So are you going to be having any entrance on Canal Street?
No, there's no actual connection on Canal Street to that building. There's no actual physical new building being proposed on that lot on Canal Street.
Okay.
It's all on 21.
I have a quick question to kind of piggyback on that. For the 2 tax lots that are part of this development, are there any easements that you have with any of the neighboring tax lots? Could you describe them if there are any?
You want me?
Whoever could answer
Yeah.
that question in terms of the relationship, you know, for those 2 tax lots, if there's any type of relationship with the neighboring lots on that block.
So no, if you're asking about, you know, access to the site for neighboring buildings, there are no easements to that effect. I'm not aware of anything that we have encountered that's in place, and we're not planning on extending any at this point in time.
Okay.
Going to be an empty lot there? Is there a building on it? Is there a building on that lot now? Is it going to be empty?
Yes, there's an existing building on that lot, a 6-story building. That's commercial manufacturing uses.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Laura.
Public testimony.
Yeah, should we, we'll go to Pete next, and then if you'd like to come up to the table, if there are any questions for the public, you'll have to come up to the table so you can be heard by the microphones.
Yeah.
So make your way up. But we'll go next to Pete.
Okay, so okay, great. Thank you very much, and thank you for the presentation. I've been living in Soho a long time. I served on the Envision group, suffered through that, and we've been very much anticipating what is going to be done here. I have a couple of questions. The building that's the tax lot that's part of this development at 255 Canal, where there is a transfer of development rights and easement for additional square footage, about 8,000 square feet. But you're telling us that there is no access through that building, no connection to that building. It is simply the use of the undeveloped air rights that have been transferred to this project. And so that's question number one. Will there be any in lieu movement of affordable units from this development site, as is allowed under the zoning, where those units are built? They're credited to this project, but built elsewhere. That's my second question. My third point is, prior to, I believe, this group's involvement in this site, on March 7th, 2023, there was an accident on this site as they were demolishing the building. A workman was killed. I want to acknowledge his name. His name is Galindo Moreno Villagas. And he gave his life in the process of developing this site. I think it's important that we acknowledge that. So if you could just tell me about the in lieu and the development rights from 255 Canal has a joint live work quarters unit on the top floor, which I believe has been residentially occupied over the years. And I'm wondering, during the construction of this development, what might happen to anyone who is residentially occupying that space? Thank you.
Sure. Well, thank you for. Go ahead, Ting.
I'll start. So, thank you for acknowledging Mr. Villagas. May his memory be a blessing. To answer your question regarding the in lieu, there will be no affordable units that are required to comply with the MIH requirements for this project will be located anywhere off-site. All of the affordable floor area that is required will be located at 126 Lafayette and nowhere else. As far as the other tax lot, and ownership can jump in, my understanding is that nothing will be disturbed for the other tax lot during construction. The Zelda that you referenced, that is a legal document that memorializes the agreement between the two owners that the undeveloped air rights will be transferred from the property on Canal Street over to our project at Lafayette, but nothing else will be disturbed. Right, is that right, Nick?
That's correct. Yep, you said it perfectly.
Can I ask a follow-up question on that again? So does that mean that the building that we're talking about that's being built, is that being built up to the lot line at 255, or is the rear windows in that top unit, are those illegal windows, or what's the story?
There's a very small court between the two buildings. Yeah, so those windows for 255 are, relatively close to that lot line. But the new
What does
building
that mean?
will be built up to the lot line, yeah.
Well, what is that relatively close mean?
I would say within 10 feet.
Okay, so there's some distance, it's not, just sort of, I lived in that unit for a couple of years, so I was just familiar with it, so I know that that's a dramatic change. It is a legal unit there for residential.
I have one more question that your diagram confused me on one thing, and that's the setback with the 10-foot setback. It seemed to be marked on your diagram that was because it was on a narrow street. And my understanding is that this building is fronting onto Lafayette, which is a wide street. So I'm wondering, I'm confused by that setback.
Maybe that narrow street might be an error. In fact, it is Lafayette is a wide street, so that's why the 10-foot setback is there, and not 15 feet. Yeah, that's correct.
Wouldn't that then require a bigger setback?
No, the setback is compliant. The 10-foot setback is all that's required on Lafayette Street above the base height.
Okay, thank you.
Andrew.
Andrew?
Hi, thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to follow up on what I put in the chat, and just to make sure that the committee is aware in terms of the quote unquote affordable units, which seem to comply with what MIH requires. So this is more a comment about MIH, but 100% of AMI is about 2/3 higher than median income for New York City households. New York City median household income is just slightly above 60% of AMI, but median New York City renter household income is below 60% of AMI. So 100% AMI units are unaffordable to the vast majority of New York City households, and even 60% AMI is unaffordable to the majority of New York City renter households. So I just want to make sure that the community board is aware of that as they look at these numbers, which is what MIH allows.
Thank you, Andrew.
I do want to highlight that this project is providing 9 units at 40 AMI, which is 1/3 of the affordable units we're providing. And then we're providing 12 units at 60 AMI, which is a little bit over 50% per requirements. And we are only providing 4 units out of the entire project that 100% AMI.
Can I ask a question about the labor that's going into the project? It seems like you are kind of right under the limit of a large project for the 45X program by 1 unit. I've asked about this earlier on, but could you talk a little bit about whether you're paying a prevailing wage for building this, or if the choice of the 99 units is specifically to not pay a prevailing wage?
We have gone with our GC out to the street and requested bids from both union contractors and non-union contractors. So we're just in the process of finalizing all those bids.
That wasn't the question, though. The question is, are you paying a prevailing wage? And the answer is no, right?
We are paying the wage for each trade based on the recommendation of our GC selection. So some will be union and there'll be a prevailing wage. Some might not be.
Right, but not under the auspices of a large project under 45X.
No, they are not required. No, this project is not required to pay a minimum wage. But as Juan said, they are going out into the market and soliciting bids from both union and non-union. And since those contracts have not been finalized yet, we can't answer what kind of wages will be paid for this project. But the ownership is taking under consideration all types of labor. I do want to highlight that once this building is completed, the building staff that will operate and maintain the building will be paid a prevailing wage.
Okay, it just seems the choice of unit size is kind of designed just to skirt right under the 100. But okay, thank you for the answer. Susan?
Thank you. I think that the 99 units is very much a calculated decision because the program requires all construction of 100 units or more. They're required to pay prevailing wage, and there's a number of articles in the press about how developers are deciding to lower the number of units so that they don't come up against this requirement, and that's been a change in, ever since 485X took effect.
Frederica, thank you. Let's go back to Frederica quickly.
Yeah, is this visit to us actually kind of window dressing, or is it mandated by the process? Because I see that you're starting construction this month. So do you really, does anything really depend on our opinion?
Yes,
Our recommendation?
HPD does take into consideration comments that they receive from community boards as well as ownership.
But you could easily
we want to be a good neighbor.
Well, great, thank you. But you could easily have got a shovel in the ground before we've passed this at our full board.
Well, actually, no, because construction I'm not exactly sure because I'm not on site, but when we say construction is commencing, we mean like starting supportive excavation and foundation. But pursuant to MIH requirements, we are not legally permitted to pull a new building permit and build out of the ground until we receive approval of our MIH application through HPD. And part of the application process with HPD is notification to the community, to the affected community board, and to present if requested by the community board.
I was reading off the project descriptions, and notification is just a courtesy. So when we write our resolution on this, we'll be sending it to HPD.
You'll be sending to HPD, but we welcome also a copy of it. We will take it. We will take the community board's suggestions and recommendation under advisement.
Okay, thank you.
I wanted to go back to public questions. So we have some questions from the public in the room with us. So
hi, thank you.
Name and
yeah, my name is Keon Vafai. I also find the 99 number to be a little peculiar. Given that taking bids from companies with and without prevailing wages sounds like we're using companies without prevailing wages. By definition, they're going to be lower cost. But that's not my question. I'm alluding to a question that you asked earlier. I saw that 40% AMI dropped off at, I believe it was a level 11. And I'm wondering, this is a question both for the board and for the developers, is that typical? I know it's supposed to be distributed throughout the building, but I just noticed that all 40% units stop right there, top floor. Thank you.
You could answer, I think that's similar to the question I think you had asked as well, Susan, about the proportional distribution of units, right? So there's two different ways to allocate them. There's proportional, and then there's the 2-bedroom rule. Am I stating that correctly?
Right.
So it's 50% of the 2-bedroom units, 50% of the affordable units.
Affordable unit.
No more than 25%.
At least 50%, right? Okay, and no more than 25% maybe studios.
Can be studios.
Okay, and so that's the option that was chosen for this. And that's the reason why the distribution is not kind of evenly spread throughout the building, correct? Okay.
I think he was asking about the AMI distribution.
Oh, the AMI distribution. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Could you address that, the AMI distribution question then? Because it looks like starting at level 12, right? It's all 100% AMIs,
160, but no more 40.
no more 40s, right?
Well, Ting, I'll defer to you on exactly what the requirements of the program are, but we set out with the criteria that HPD lays out in mind when doing the allocation of units. I think you should also keep in mind that not all of the unit types are distributed throughout the building proportionally. So there are going to be more units in the thicker floor plate base of the building. And as a result, you wind up getting a larger concentration of affordable units, and within that 40% AMI units in the base. But it was not something that we were necessarily trying to think through in any other way beyond just making sure we were compliant with the MIH requirements.
Right, there's a lot of moving pieces with MIH requirements, and having to satisfy all of them at the same time. We have to take into consideration minimum bedrooms, minimum unit sizes, and AMI requirements. There is a requirement that at least 10% of residential floor area has to be at 40% AMI. So there's the final choices made were what we felt were best aligned for the success of this project.
Were there any other questions before that? Any other questions from the public in the room?
Valerie, you?
I think I saw her. I think she may have her camera off.
Okay.
Oh, you see me.
I'll put it in there.
Okay. All right. All right, I think that is it for the public session. Thank you so much for the presentation. We appreciate the presentation and the answers to the questions. We do appreciate that there's more affordable housing coming to the district. So thank you again for presenting and answering questions from the community.
Thank you.
It's our pleasure. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on then to the next public session item, which is 30 Thompson Street. This is a presentation and discussion of a project to build affordable housing as part of the MIH program administered by HPD, excuse me. So if we could have the presenters for 30 Thompson Street raise their hands and also turn on your cameras, and then introduce your team. And then if you need to present, go ahead and share your presentation.
I don't think we have our whole team here. Our whole team is logged in.
Okay.
I don't think they're all here as panelists yet. Oh, there we go, Michael and Alvin. Great.
All right, is this everyone? Okay, great.
Okay. My name is Alvin Shine. I'm the attorney for the developer of this project. I am an attorney at Adler and Sackenfeld, as is my colleague who presented on the other project, in full disclosure. I'm going to be presenting two projects here. It's actually 30 Thompson and 285 Hudson. They're two separate 100% affordable buildings in this community district. It's unusual to see that, in that these are privately financed projects, no government subsidy, except that there will be a tax exemption from real estate taxes for the new buildings, but there is no public subsidy for it. The project also, it's the developer's intention, provided that HPD goes along with it, to have these projects done as HDFC co-ops as opposed to rentals, which is something you do not have in Community District 2. This would be a completely new and, I would say, unique product or development where low and moderate income residents would have the opportunity to actually own their units as opposed to rent them. We're early in the HPD process, but we have to present the plan to HPD for home ownership, which we will do. And if that is successful, that will be the plan. The AMIs will be as the same as would be for a rental. That is a combination of, in this case, 40, 60, and 80% AMI, so that it is affordable to a range of residents. The building at Thompson Street will have 44 units, and the building at Hudson Street will have 24 units. It's the same idea of not less than 50% two bedrooms and 25% one bedrooms and 25% studios. That's the general formula. Actually, Thompson Street may have more than 50% two bedrooms. Right now, it looks like we'll have two more two bedrooms than is required.
If I could just interrupt you quickly. So you're presenting on both 30 Thompson as well as 285 Hudson. So I just want to make sure that what you're presenting is the same, the same parameters for both, right? So when you say it's
Yes.
40, 80, it's for both projects, even though they're physically distant from each other, but they're building under the same.
Right. Well, they're both operating under the same MIH rules of having an average of 60% AMI, and we need a certain percentage at 40% AMI. So it just kind of comes out that way to have an average of 60% AMI. It's going to be a little bit different here in that in order to make it come out to 60% AMI, it will be a combination of 40, 60, and 80. So I would like, before we get into questions, I would like the architect from Running Architects to do the presentation, and then afterwards I will be happy to answer any questions that anyone has.
Sure, thank you, Al.
Yeah.
Can everybody hear me? Excellent. Okay. Great. All right, I'm going to start here. I'd like to introduce everybody to the 30 Thompson site. This here is going to be 18 stories, total approximately 50,000 square feet. You'll notice here for the design intention of the building, we've gone with a full masonry and metal clad facade. We went with a softer tone as it pertains to the brick and the storefront and an aluminum cladding along the facades. Typically with the design, we're going with larger format windows that kind of tie into the more industrial style that is often seen around the area. The ground floor is notable in that the floor-to-floor heights are 17 feet, which allows for expansive glazing at the street front, and also satisfies some more logistical requirements since the building is in a flood zone and will not have a cellar. I'd like to go to our next, let's see. Oh, there we go.
Here's floor plans.
Let's see here.
Are these the floor plans or?
Yeah. So this here is the first floor plan. The essence here is that you walk in primarily just into a small lobby, and then you'll notice towards the back, the first floor steps up, and then we'll have an intermediate or a mezzanine level that will include, move on to here, a small mechanical rooms in the back. It'll include bicycle storage for the tenants as well as laundry spaces. On the second floor, we'll have a common recreation space for the building.
Is there a way to, I'm sorry, zoom in just a little bit more on the floor plans?
Let's see. Right. Exit.
Sorry about that.
No, not a problem. Let me exit the presentation mode.
Okay.
I will zoom in here so we can better see.
And it's a fully residential building, right? There's no commercial on the first floor, right?
That is correct, yes. All right, is this a little more visible for everybody?
Yes, that's much better. Thank you.
Not a problem. So yeah, so on the second floor, we'll have a recreation space in the back of the building, and then you'll have your first apartment. It's a 2-bedroom, street facing. And the typical unit is right next to it. We have that same 2-bedroom unit that stacks all the ways up. And then in the back of the building, on these typical floors, another 2-bedroom, similar to what Alvin had alluded to, being that these are co-ops, we kind of leaned more towards the larger units, 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom units. Scroll down here. Eventually, as we move up the building, in the front, again, you'll see that same 2-bedroom unit, but the back of the building, the distribution changes slightly, and we introduce a 1-bedroom and a studio. And then I will note that on 30 Thompson, there is one setback floor, which has a smaller studio unit, and then a 1-bedroom and a studio in the rear. Now, around the corner at 285 Hudson, we decided to go with a similar aesthetic between the two buildings, although they're not adjacent to each other. We went with a little more of a warmer tone, similar style with the stacked brick coursing. We have a stone base along the street, and we incorporated again the large windows to let in plenty of natural light. 285 Hudson is the smaller of the two. It's only 10 stories. There are no setbacks. And then this building is maxed out in its available floor area.
Repeat the floor area, please.
Sorry, the floor area for 285 is?
285 Hudson is approximately 16,000.
16,000, okay.
And 30 Thompson is, I don't think, if I didn't mention it, 30 Thompson is about 50,000 square feet.
Okay. What is the FAR for both of those?
I don't
You don't have those offhand.
If they are offhand. Like I said, 285 is maxed out. 30 Thompson, there's several sites on the zoning lot. So there are several other buildings to account in for that. But we are
several tax lots. Okay.
Now for 285 Hudson Street, this building here will have a cellar, so the mechanical spaces, again, common laundry and bike storage will be provided. On the ground floor, we have a recreation room at grade with access to the rear yard of the building. Small mail and package room, as anticipated for a building with so many few units. Again, no setbacks at this building. We have large or full story 2-bedroom units up to the 7th floor, and then the distribution changes on 8 through 10, and we include a 1-bedroom at the front of the building and a 1-bedroom at the back of the building. I'll go back to the front in case there are any questions, but those are our two projects.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate the presentation. I do have to say it's refreshing to see 100% affordable coming into the district. So I do want to give thanks for that right off the top. I'm going to take questions from the committee. Frederica, I see you have your hand raised.
You're muted. Muted.
Is this affordable in perpetuity?
Yes, it is affordable in perpetuity. That is, as long as the building stands, it's
All right,
affordable.
thank you.
Both buildings?
Both buildings, same rules. These are under the MIH rules. As long as the building stands, it remains the way it is as affordable.
Stella?
I have a question about that. I know that for HDFCs, there's often a renewable 40-year period of regulatory agreement. But when it's combined with MIH, you're saying that that supersedes the renewable 40-year regulatory agreement period?
Well, the MIH agreement is, as I just said, is perpetual as long as the building stands.
Okay.
What you're referring, the 40-year period that you're referring to would be the tax exemption period under Article 11. HDFCs get what's called an Article 11 tax exemption, and that has a 40-year term. At the end of 40 years, it is typically would be renewed by the city. The city can't grant more than 40-year exemption at any one time.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from Katie?
Yes. As someone who has lived in an HDFC co-op in Community Board 2, it was not in perpetuity. So first of all, I commend you. I think we all commend you on this approach, but it's so unusual. Can you explain any reason how you got to this idea? Because it's really.
Okay. So as to your first question, yes, there are HDFC co-ops that are not affordable in perpetuity, but those are organized under a different format. Again, we're dealing with MIH here. So MIH requires the building to be affordable as long as it stands. So it's not the same as other HDFC co-ops that you might be familiar with. So if I'm telling you it's going to be affordable in perpetuity, is because that's what the statute says. I'm not making it up. The reason that the developer does not have to do a co-op here, they could do a rental, but they've decided that this is what they want to do. They want to do a co-op. I've been doing MIH work and voluntary inclusionary work for many years. In all that time, we've done exactly one HDFC co-op for other clients. This is very unusual. I suppose people are wondering, like, why? Are you skeptical? What's wrong with these people? Why are they doing this? There's nothing wrong with them. They want to do something good. It is being done as any other 100% affordable building, but instead of a rental, they've decided they want to do this as an affordable co-op, which no one is building brand new affordable co-ops right now. This is a unique product. And I think it would be something that Community Board 2 should be proud of.
I agree. I think it's a great gift in terms of a different mix of affordable housing. I mean,
And a new model.
A new model, exactly.
To have something we can point to.
Right.
As an example.
Right, of something that could work financially in the district.
And this is not a schlocky building. If you look at the design here, I think it's a beautiful design and it fits into the Soho look.
Can you repeat the number of new apartments for us, please?
So at 30 Thompson, there'll be 44 units, and Hudson Street will have 24.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, that's a lot of units in the district.
2 buildings.
Yeah, I mean, it's this is rare. I mean, we commend you for thinking outside the box, really.
If perhaps I could say something. Hi, I'm Lou Madigan. I'm here with my development team at Felix Luong, and I am. Felix and I don't live in the neighborhood, but we have built here. 111 Varick Street, which is around the corner from the site. It's right at the entrance of the Holland Tunnel. The black undulating facade, if you're on Varick Street, just before you enter the Holland Tunnel, is a project that Felix and I appeared before Community Board 2 for about maybe 10 years ago. We completed that in the middle of COVID, and it's 30% affordable for this site. And personally, I about 24 years ago, some great people were forming a community health center down in Community Board 2 at Aperture. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Aperture Community Health Center, but we provide primary care and other social services to about 6,700 patients, about 30,000 visits a year in 2 locations, one in at Walker Street and Broadway, and one in Jackson Heights, without regard to ability to pay and without regard to legal status and the other factors that limit people from getting access to quality health care. Rated as one of the top 100 providers of healthcare in the city in 2020. This was before COVID. They were doing rankings of healthcare providers in the city. And we think this is a great development, and we think it's a good financial model, and it will help address the housing needs of the city. There's a housing crisis in the city. I urge everyone to support the development of more housing in the city, both affordable and market rate housing, because all of it's needed. From my perspective, there's a shortage of milk, and it's reasonable to, if there's a shortage of milk, we should address the price of milk so that there's not gouging for milk. But at some point, we need more cows. So right now, my perspective is a housing shortage. We're hoping to see more housing in the city, both market rate and affordable.
Right.
Thank you. And thank you for providing for the non-market rate end of this. It's very easy to see a market rate development in our neighborhood. Those don't seem to be, developers don't seem to shy away from that model in CB2. So it is very rare to see 100% affordable from a non-city land project. I think this is a first for me. So I applaud you. I think this is a great model. I'm also familiar with Aperture, and I think Aperture I can attest that they do a lot of great work for the city in terms of providing health services. And so, yes, I think this is great. Would like to take questions from the public. I see Pete and Andrew, so if we could start with Pete. I think you were first.
Great, thank you very much. And yeah, I got to say, I'm just so amazed and pleased to see what you're presenting. As I said before, I sat on the Envision group for months, and we argued over and over, can't we get a different type of affordable housing than this silly limited MIH? And city planning kept saying, oh, no, it's not possible. It's not possible. There's nobody that'll do it. It's so here you guys are, you're doing it. So thank you very much. I do have a question about 285. It seems on the units, and maybe this was answered and I just missed it. The units from up through the 7th floor are 1 unit per floor and therefore have a private elevator entrance to each unit. Is that correct?
I have the same question.
Michael?
Yeah, so those units, yeah, it's up to the 8th floor, and they'll need to be controlled access via the elevator, although it's not a private elevator. But the front and back ends of the units are concealed off.
Okay, and I guess that's workable. However, both 30 Thompson and 285, I'm assuming there are windows only on the north-south streets, that the north-facing wall and the south-facing wall are lot line walls, and therefore there will be no windows.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you very much. And good luck.
Thank you, Pete. Andrew?
Yes, thank you. A couple of questions, and it is great to see 100% affordable projects and ones which seem to have thoughtful designs to them as well in relation to their context. I'll just ask all my questions together, and if you can, respond to each of them. I just want to confirm, so one of these is in the Hudson Square district, and one of them is in the Soho district, if I'm not mistaken. The second is I thought I heard that there was no commercial on the first floor, but my understanding was that in the Soho district, commercial was required on the first floor. So if you could maybe just address that, maybe my understanding was incorrect or it doesn't apply here. The third and larger question, though, that I have, which follows up on what I think Katie asked about, is, and what Pete said, we've been repeatedly told that it's impossible to require or ask developers to build 100% affordable housing. So I'd really love to know more about your financial model here and what makes this possible. Are you foregoing profit? Is there some other subsidy or revenue stream that we're not aware of that makes this possible? And one question that I would ask towards that end is, are these units either going to be used or could they be used towards fulfilling affordable housing requirements at future for-profit developments within the rezoning areas? And is that part of what makes this project financially viable?
Okay.
To answer the third question first, yes. The only way this is financially viable is to use the structure as set up by HPD and set up by the inclusionary housing program. So we can build these housing, and it essentially becomes an offset for someone else's housing with a bonus, right? So extra has to get built because that's being done. So we believe it's a win-win.
Right. The financial model only works by being able to transfer the rights to elsewhere in the zone. The building itself could not be built and sold at low affordable prices, which will be very low, because especially at 40% AMI. So that's the only way it works. Otherwise,
it will still be a loss. It'll still be done at a loss. It's a question of how to limit the loss.
But so in other words, this affordable housing is going to be the 25% affordable to some future project of market rate housing.
That's
correct. Except that it's 30% instead of 25. There's a calculation that you have to build extra. So
got it. Okay. And the ground floor commercial, it's a minor point, but I'm just curious about that.
I think in the Hudson Square site, which is not in Hudson Square Special District, there is either commercial or community use requirement for a small portion. I don't think we have that on Thompson Street here. So
Thompson's a side street, so I don't think so.
Correct. It's a narrow street, so it doesn't have that requirement.
Okay.
Thank you, Andrew, for your questions, and thank you for the answers. So have you already identified the project that this will offset, or have you identified the developer who might need this offset project in the bank?
So with nothing set in place in stone, right? It is likely this will be used to offset a development at 360 West Broadway, the garage that's next to this site.
Next to which site? Both sites?
Next to 30 Thompson.
Okay. Okay. Do you own that site already?
We don't own it, but there's another group that we're working with that does own it. So the intent is for us to work together on it, but it's not set in stone yet at this point.
And if it doesn't come about, does your project go belly up?
We have financing to proceed with this project and intend to proceed, as soon as possible, once approved.
Susan?
Do you know how tall a building you would plan to build at 360 West Broadway?
That hasn't been established yet, but I assume it would be within the zoning requirements or zoning allowances of the district.
But it has to be. You can't go beyond this.
Yeah, no, I know. It's just the non-Soho side of West Broadway. I just wondered.
Oh, it's West Broadway, yeah, sorry.
Yes. 360.
Okay. All right. Any other questions from the public in the room? Assuming that was not us. All right.
Is there any objection to turning off the AC?
Oh, yes. Would you like to turn off? Is it getting a little chilly? Go ahead and turn it off.
I don't know, is that, well, I pushed the power, but I still hear it. So we'll let you figure that out.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for the presentation and for coming before us and presenting this option. It's a very welcome option. We're glad to see this type of development in the district. It's a welcome surprise. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
So just for clarity.
Yes.
The net result is an extra 5% of affordable housing. Just, is that the right?
Is that how the math is?
Well, I mean, if it's 30% instead of 25%, just while everybody's still here, that's the correct.
It is for off-site inclusionary, that's the way the calculation's done. But I also keep in mind, doing this as a co-op for purchase, right, is different, right? It's not what's common. And we think it's great for New York and it's great for Soho. And please don't lose sight of that.
Yeah, no, my comment was just in addition to that,
right.
It's an extra 5% of
right.
There is floor area. So it's 5% floor area or 5% units. I mean,
right.
It's floor. This is inclusionary, so it's about floor area.
Okay.
Right.
It's just.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right. Oh, Frederica.
I'm just curious, how do you set the purchase price? Based
Okay,
on
sure. It's a good question. The purchase, what happens is you start with whatever the rent would be if it was a rental. Just pick a number, let's say $1,500, okay? So what happens is first we deduct what the common charges would be for that unit. And then whatever's left over is computed as to what would a debt service on a 90% mortgage be. So you interpolate a price by what can be afforded by the affordable rent. So the end result is that the owner of the apartment pays exactly the same to carry the apartment as they would if they were renting it.
Over how many months, or isn't that a good question?
At a 30-year.
Well, what happens is that the common charges are set and the buyer pays a price which supports the mortgage that the rest of the money can support. So that becomes the price. And believe me, in this case, it's not going to be much, especially for the 40% apartments. So they buy the apartment and that's it. Common charges could go up in the future. The mortgage, the loan on the apartment should be fixed, but that rent goes up also. So it's not going to stay the same forever. But what happens is they're not renting, they're owning. So as they pay down their loan, they're building equity by paying down the loan, and then they can resell their units generally based on the amount that AMI goes up, or which is similar to inflation. So if they sell in 20 years, they will actually make money on their sale, which is, I do a lot of work, not just in inclusionary housing, but in co-op and condo work, and nobody is doing this. This is totally unique right now in the market, to enable affordable units to be owned rather than rented. And this can be, for lucky people who win the lottery here, very lucky people, will have a chance to own their units.
And are you going out in the market to get the financing? The city's not financing?
City's not financing. We have to go in the
No
market.
city financing.
The city does not, the city could make this a lot easier if they wanted to, but they don't. And that's why you're only seeing a situation here where the developer here is willing to do this. They probably make more money in the long run by doing a rental because they get money over time. But in this case, they're going to sell the units out at a net loss.
Are you going to have to go to the city council to get the tax abatement approved eventually?
Well, it's going to be an Article 11 tax exemption, and yes, the city council has to approve it. If they don't approve it, then the co-op is dead. We can't do it.
Have you been already discussing with the city council member that support?
No, we're just getting started in the process.
I see, okay.
But hopefully you'll express your support, and we'll bring that to our local city councilman.
Right?
There's one more hand.
There's one more question from Michael Benabib.
Should I just, let me promote it?
I'll
promote it.
sorry, I'll sit down.
I got him.
Okay, thanks. Michael.
Did
Oh, yes,
Michael?
I'm sorry. There we go. How will these photos be, how will these apartments be distributed? How will they be made available? Is there a website?
They will be marketed through a lottery, the same as you would have a lottery for rental, affordable rental.
So that would be like on the New York City housing website?
Yes, it'll be offered exactly the same way.
Thank you. That is all.
Stella?
I have a question. So no HPD subsidy, are you gonna ask for state subsidy, or because it's MIH, it can't?
We'd love to get a state subsidy, but the state won't give any subsidy here. We're on our own.
Okay. I'm just I work for New York State Affordable Housing Corporation, which often does fund HCFCs through HPD, but I understand this is.
So look, it is possible to get a very small subsidy for the buyers, like to pay closing costs and things like that. If that's available, we'll go for that, but I'm not, it's discretionary. It helps the buyers, doesn't really help the developer, but we're going to see if we can get that.
Okay.
Okay. And I guess let me just ask, so what are you looking for from the community board in terms of coming before us? You're looking for us to express support for this, or?
We absolutely would like your support. It happens under the zoning resolution. In the last amendment to the zoning resolution, home ownership MIH is at the discretion of HPD. If they don't like our plan, they could kill it, and that'll be the end of it. We'll just do a rental. So if they see support from the community board, I think we have a much better chance of getting through HPD.
Okay. Yes, Susan.
So, I mean, I love the idea of getting more affordable housing, but the city has been very clear about, we've had issues with the pour door. We've had issues where, like in the previous building, we were discussing how carefully everything is combined. I mean, this model of a building of only affordable housing, I mean, I'm saying it's a beautiful new building, but it's an interesting challenge to the theory of not isolating the affordable housing units in only one building together. So is that something that is going to be a challenge to get approved? Have you?
No, it shouldn't be a challenge to get approved. There are affordable co-ops in the city, and it's not contradictory to anything else that's being done in terms of mixed income. This is not a pour door. This is a 100% affordable building done as a beautiful building. Nobody walking by.
Did you notice the Milton windows?
Yeah. Why?
We like the small Munson
No,
windows.
I'm not
right?
questioning
So
the
we're-
beauty, I'm not questioning the beauty of the building. It's just an interesting, every previous discussion has been about how carefully everything has to be mixed together and, questioning in the previous proposal, are they going to be charged to use the amenities and
No, it's a co-op. This is a
Yeah.
co-op. It's a different model altogether. It's not, you don't have a landlord who's deciding to charge amenity fees.
And it's not 10 square blocks of Robert Moses building utility-driven apartments. It's beautiful, a beautiful building, nice apartments in Soho, in which there are jobs, in which there are schools, in which there is infrastructure.
No, I understand, Lou. Can I just ask one more question as I'm trying to fully understand this? In the building on West Broadway where the parking garage is, where you're going to build the building, because of this exchange, that building then could be 100% market rate and has no affordable housing. So that's the way
it gets paid for.
That's the trade-off, correct.
That's the trade-off.
So to get the two fully affordable housing co-ops, we get one fully market rate building.
Market rate building,
That's
correct. And we think there are other places in Soho this could happen. And I think it's okay. It's, I don't think there's one right answer. I think this model has some good pluses, right? Because it provides an opportunity for home ownership, for affordable housing units in the heart of Soho.
Look, I don't want to make speeches here, but in the past, the city did subsidize affordable home ownership. And I was involved in building hundreds of units of affordable co-ops. But the city and the state pulled out. They don't believe in home ownership, really. Not in any kind of scale. State more, the city not. And this is an opportunity that has not been here for about 20 years to have a new building built as affordable home ownership, which I'm actually very excited about.
I'm going to ask two follow-up questions. It's going to be two co-ops, not one. The two buildings will operate separately, correct?
They have nothing to do with each other. Two
Okay.
separate co-ops, yes.
If the home ownership program doesn't go through, you will have affordable rental as your backup?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm hoping the community board will express support for the home ownership concept here. We think it's valuable.
All right, I think that's.
What do you think? Do we have to ask them? They want a letter or a resolution?
Yeah, I mean, are you looking, I just want to go through some of the, are we looking at a letter or a resolution?
Well, I think that from what we heard, some of the people were directing us towards include the city council members, right?
Yeah.
They're going to be included in this. So I think that if we were to have a resolution that could then
That goes
be sent
to
on the
this.
cover of a letter, because that might have a wider purpose. There's others.
Okay.
And would you need to show any support from us to other people outside of the local elected officials? I mean, is there anybody else within?
Doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt.
Well, I mean, it's obvious what it is, but I just bring that up because if there's any other incentivization saying, hey, this is a widely supported project that would somehow.
We need support to HPD and to the council person.
So those are the two targets.
The resolution carries more weight than a letter, and the resolution can always be distributed just like a letter.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
I'm going to follow them.
Just
I think that's-
HPD
yeah.
or do you need the mayor as well?
The mayor has to sign off on it, but the mayor traditionally will not reject something that has been promoted by the council person and approved by the city council.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay, I think that's it for the questions. I think we can discuss the rest in business
No
session.
questions from the.
Yeah, I've checked before. Any other questions? Last minute check. Any questions from the public? One more from.
Just going back 1 second. But when I asked you if you had any idea about the size of the building on West Broadway, that matters a bit to us in the sense of if you had a building with 100 units and 25% were affordable, you're going to take the market. I guess what we're trying to figure out is, are we going to end up with more luxury units built in Soho than we would if this was standard formula of percentage of affordable in a luxury building? Or are we going to end up with the same, or are we going to end up with more affordable? So our question, are we going to end up with more luxury, more gentrification down the road, even though we're adding in more affordable?
I think there's no one perfect answer, right? But I think what happened at 360 West Broadway, like at the other, project that was presented, whoever develops there will develop the maximum bulk. That's coming. It's a vacated garage.
Yeah, okay.
Right? Right. So it's going to be what it's going to be, the maximum size it can be. And it could be rental, it could be condos, or it could be something else we create. And what we're trying to create is an opportunity for affordable home ownership in 100% affordable buildings that create a penalty for the private developer side, for the market rate developer side. And it's still okay because Soho is such a great neighborhood. It's worth it to them. And it's worth it for what we think is a public good. And we think it's a win-win. And we hope you do too.
And I just want to point out too, if you take a look at Google Earth and do the 3D, showing things on their side, and you look at the area, this is, building bulk in this area to the maximum is not where it creates the impact because it's alongside other height. And I just bring that up because it's a concern we hear in our community a lot, but if you're going to have something, this is a.
Yeah, you're talking about these buildings, not West Broadway.
Well, I just put in at 360 West Broadway, and if you do a render, and if you look at the skyline, which it's really an eye-opening experience to do that because you start to see how something might.
Yeah. Oh, no, we've all wondered what would go in the garage site, for years.
Are we in business session now?
No, I think let's go back. There was one question from the public. So Laura wanted to just circle back with you.
It actually was raised as you were putting me up, which was the question about next door, and isn't it in a sense functionally a poor door if you're having the affordable housing next door to the building, to a market rate building, and they're basically one isn't acting without the other. But that's been asked and answered. I just was curious whether you are on a floodplain, the water table is so high you can't have a cellar. Have you asked for any hardship considerations, and are you getting any in connection with that?
I think Thompson Street is at elevation 6, and the design flood elevation in Soho is 12. So, we're well below the design flood elevation. By the way, I've been building buildings in and around New York City for 30 years. We deal with this all the time. And no, we're not getting any hardship benefits. We haven't applied for any. We're not asking for any. We want to move forward. This is a project that's ready to get built if the public will let us build it.
Okay, I was just curious. We have seen hardship requests in connection with that in this area, so thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. All right, and we'll discuss this.
Andrew, go.
Yeah, Andrew, do you have an additional question?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that the committee was clear about, sort of what this means. So, in the Soho rezoning, there's a requirement above a certain square footage that when you build new market rate housing, you have to include a certain percentage of affordable. What's happening here is they're splitting the development among 3 sites, 2 of which will be exclusively affordable, 1 of which will be developed in the future, will be exclusively luxury. These affordable units are connected to a forthcoming 100% luxury development that's coming down the road. This really is directed more at the city than the developer. Throughout the Soho NoHo rezoning process, the city repeatedly told us that was not possible. All affordable units would be on site within the development, equally distributed throughout the building. As with so many things we've seen about the rezoning, this is proof, living proof, that all of the things that the city told us throughout the process were not true. This is another manifestation of that.
So let me I don't know what anybody told you, quite honestly, but this is the same as any other MIH zone. The same can be done in any MIH zone. You can have offsite affordable.
As you could in a VIH zone, right? In the voluntary inclusionary housing zone. It's how, by the way, just so you understand, it was proposed to eliminate the offsite inclusionary process. If that were done, however, then property owned by the Catholic Church, property owned by, community-based organizations, religious-based organizations would not be able to build 100% affordable buildings. It is how 100% affordable buildings can get built today, is that you build it and then you sell that offsite inclusionary in certificates, which cannot be done in a MIH zone. It can be done in a VIH zone, or at least it could be. I think they even got rid of it in the VIH zone. Alvin will correct me. And so we're trying to create a model that we think, no model is perfect. We think this model is pretty good because it gives a chance for low-income people to own their homes.
I just want to go back to Andrew's point, though. The thing is, we were told this couldn't happen, and it's happening. And I think that's the point with many elements of the rezoning, over and over and over, that we're seeing what was forecasted, for what I think it was a 10-year horizon, right, out from the rezoning time period. And we're a few years out and everything's, different and nothing matches up, even though these issues were raised and the questions were raised. So I think that it's more of a general frustration, just as in the Hudson Square rezoning, we don't see enough housing being built and we see, monster global headquarters being built instead, and just over and over and over. So it's not against you guys at all. It's just nice to see the housing being developed and that it's affordable and that it includes the ownership structure, which I don't recall really ever being mentioned as realistic.
Oh, look what Pete just said. Yeah.
All right, well, thanks. I think we'll take this discussion up during business session.
I'm gonna lower everybody now.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so thank you. It's given us a lot to think about.
Good night, all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to the next, which is to circle back to number 1 on the agenda, which is continuation of the discussion of the resolution for 51 Little West 12th Street. So just to recap from our last meeting, we had a presentation from the applicant for 51 Little West 12th Street for a variance.
Just one second. Is
Sure.
this a business session?
This is a business session
Okay.
discussion.
Are we having a discussion of FY 27 district needs before we go into business session? Because that has an asterisk by it. We're going into business session and coming out of business.
We're going into business session coming out. I'd like to get the applicant through before we get to the.
Oh, so we're going to hear from the applicant.
But then it's not a business session.
Well, there are some open items that we want to see if the applicant had additional
fill them in.
Yes,
We've already had the public comment, but.
we had the public
we're
comments,
just
right?
Going back to follow up with the applicant, which wouldn't be a business session, it would still be a public session.
Well, we're starting from the business session.
We've already,
Well, so we had from the last meeting, I guess there were issues with the lack of renderings for what was being proposed. Elevations were missing. And there was some detail that was lacking about what was being proposed. If we have the applicant for 51 Littlest 12th, I'd like to see if they have additional materials that they'd like to share. Mark or co-host, could we promote?
Sure.
He's not going down.
Oh, he's gone.
it's like a silent test.
Okay, so Jed, and are we waiting on additional?
Another Jed Weiss coming up, so I don't.
That's from the same login, right?
Yeah. All right. And then we'll try again. Oh, the second one declined.
Okay, so are there additional people that you'll need, Judd? Or is it just you? Barbara Cohen?
Okay. Do that one.
Okay, give me from Barbara Cohen. Okay.
Oh, Richard Lobel.
Okay. And then Jed Weiss again. That's fun.
If everybody could.
Again, if you could raise your hands, that
Raise
would
their
just be
hands, it would-
easier for us to, if you could raise your hands, that would be easier just to find you in the list.
And does Jed, who is this other Jed Weiss? Does they? And what were? So whoever the Jed Weiss is who keeps declining to be promoted to panelist, can you lower your hand? Thank you.
Okay.
What about Richard Lobel?
He's not on the list.
He's not on the list. Okay, last call. Is there anyone else that you are waiting for on the team for 51 Little West 12?
Now we have a different name. Okay, whoever, so this, now somebody is coming.
Okay, who's the, who will be the primary speaker for 51 Little West 12? Again, it's difficult to see who's online because I don't know if the names are matching up. Matthew Sloan? Okay, great. So if you have additional materials do you have additional materials in terms of renderings, elevations, and so on for us to consider before we look at the resolution?
I'm sorry. So I've been trying to unmute myself. My name is Fatih. I'm presenting Marin Architects. I do have the additional material that I'd like to share.
Okay,
Sorry.
please go ahead and share it.
Okay, so can everyone introduce themselves, and then there's Richard Lobel is waiting?
There is no waiting.
There's no Richard Lobel.
Okay.
As I said, my name is Fatih Argun, joining from Marin Architects, presenting the architectural side of the presentation.
And who's with you?
We have Matthew Sloan. Matthew, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit?
Sure. My name is Matt Sloan. I'm representing the applicant for matters related to seeker from Matrix New World Engineering.
Okay.
And I do believe Jed, Richard are all waiting to be accepted in as a panelist. For some reason, they can't speak. Sorry, Barbara, please.
Yeah, we've
continue.
been trying to promote the Jed Weiss.
They have to accept.
Okay.
You have to accept.
In the meantime, I'm Barbara Cohen. I've prepared the financial analysis for the application.
Okay. It looks like we're still having problems with the Jed Weiss account one.
So it says it's coming in.
Says he's coming in, but he keeps showing up on the attendee list.
You might just need to leave the meeting sometimes. Yeah, I think that's a good advice.
It just said, just give it 1 second. It just said he's joining. So let's just see what happens.
Okay.
Error.
Sorry. It might be because they're all using the same account.
Okay, can we try promoting Jed Weiss account one more time? Otherwise, we could just allow them to talk. It looks like they're having.
They want to try logging out and logging back in again.
Yeah, I had to do the same thing.
Yeah, it seems like there's.
Let me try to give them a call to explain what I did. Give me a second, guys. I apologize for it.
Looks like they just dropped off.
There's a Jed Weiss account 2 now.
Okay, let's see.
I could rename it.
Oh, okay, all right.
You rename it?
Yeah, because-
Everyone has to please not share logins when we log into the Zoom. If everyone.
It was too confusing with all the Jed Weisses. So
Yeah, it's very confusing when everyone reuses logins. So please try not to share the logins. Every login is for an individual participant. Okay, so can we start while we're waiting for this Jed Weiss account, or do you need Jed Weiss too?
Oh, is Jed Weiss, it says he is. Okay.
It is the zoning attorney on the application as well as the ownership. I think they're crucial. There you go. For some reason now they're Fatih, but
All right, let's try and get going. We've wasted a little bit of time here. We don't want to redo the entire application. We'd like to go back and look at the parts of the application that were missing from the last time we met. So I don't know who's going to present the materials, but go ahead and share the screen.
Sure. So Fatih Ergun from Walter Marin Associates Architects is going to present the plans, the renderings. I'm in the room with Novak Nuri, who's the applicant, and we're happy to go over those with the committee. Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
So I do have the additional materials that we have provided. Sorry that we have sent you a package but last minute we had to make some changes. I do apologize for those. And we'll provide the updated package soon after the meeting, hopefully. So obviously, I would like to talk about the design of the building and the why we chose this way. So obviously, the site is located in the historic meatpacking district of Manhattan, and the 51 Little West 12th Street stands at the crossroad of cultural memory and modern urban transformation. The property lies steps ahead away from the Hudson River waterfront and remnants of Pier 54, which is a site profound historical significance to the project and to the artist who is here, Novak Nuri. So in April 1912, the RMS Carpathia docked at the Pier 54, carrying out the survivors of the RMS Titanic disaster. The moment established the area as a symbol of hope, survival, and remembrance, forever linking.
I'd ask you not to repeat the entire presentation. So just
no, I'm just giving you not the whole presentation.
Can you
Yes,
make it full screen, maybe?
I'm sorry.
Can you make it full screen, especially the rendering of the building?
Is it better?
Yeah.
The building.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yep. So
the Titanic relevant to your building?
Right. So obviously the west side and this building links. We want to link the building to the part of the west side, and its maritime tragedies and tragedies and modern history. So the design intent of the building is It draws
Comparing your
directly
boat to the
from the
Titanic.
historic narrative. Yeah, so the building is designed to remember, it's to resemble a bow of a ship. And obviously this gesture serves as both a memorial and a celebration commemorating the Titanic while symbolizing resilience and forward momentum. The form echoes the iconic lines of an ocean liner's hull.
The Titanic.
Yes, the Titanic and the RMS, the Carpathia, basically. So both of them. So the building serves as a tribute to the Pier 54 and Titanic survivors, embedding history within the living city. The design does not attempt to replicate the past, but rather reinterpret through contemporary architectural language, offering a subtle yet powerful commemoration.
Of a ship that went down.
Yes, which is very dear to the Novak. He's here. He could talk about this. So he's really the artist on this project. And let me go through the next slides. As you can see, when you look at straight down, you will see the V that Noah can speak to the history of the V if he likes.
I don't see how this is the Titanic. I'm sorry.
No, we're not. Okay, so we're not. You want to, obviously, I think that's irrelevant to the presentation. So we're not trying to resemble a Titanic, but we're trying to commemorate, and this is the artist's vision that I would like to refer to him if you have any comments about it. So, and on the ground floor, the building is set back to provide a public space for the artist shows and presentation as he continues on today's environment on site, creating rainbows. So
can I just have Novak
yes.
speak for 2 minutes in terms of the importance of the maritime reference in the Titanic?
Go ahead.
Okay, Novak.
Well, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to voice.
Maybe go forward a little bit. Move forward a little bit because I can't hear you.
Can you hear my voice?
Yes. Yes, we can hear you.
Please.
Once again, thank you very much for the opportunity on September 10th, the day before 9/11, to speak about the history of 51 Little West 12th Street. First off, the original title owner is William Waldorf Astor, founder of the stock market. 51 was a trading post, horse stable, with a horse stable entranceway / curb cut, which became the driveway curb cut and loading berth. 51 Little West 12th Street also housed the Astor tunnels to Pier 54 on the corner. The tunnels are eroded. John Jacob Astor inherited the property, so it's told. And he was on his maiden voyage with his wife, Madeline, on the Titanic, as it hit an iceberg and sank in the cold, icy waters of the North Atlantic on that tragic date in April 1912. Madeline then waited on Pier 54 for him to never return as he drowned 150 feet away from my door. A rainbow appears to be aglow when the sun is out. And that I see as a sign to have the wedding for the bride and groom in commemoration for the life and the wedding that John Jacob Astor never had. 2, John Jacob Astor was one of the first 5 investors of the Model T Ford, speaking about the horse stable entranceway turning into the driveway which is the path of the future that Ron Livian gave me the privilege and the right to call Arrowway, which is the shape of my keyboard. And Arrowway will be the future driveway and the showroom for our transportation problem to resolve and not use petrol or lithium. But however, in the meantime, my plan is to have the theme of the building of the word invention and creation in the international destination to be a place where people will want to see artists presenting the steps going forward, so we may resolve a thing called perpetual energy solar. Right now, I would like that opportunity to be able to have residential above the High Line elevation. I would like to have the theme of invention in the basement, ground floor, and High Line elevation.
Wrap it up soon. Okay.
Thank you very much for giving me this moment to express my legacy and my passion.
Okay, thank you.
Right. So as I said, Nowak is the real artist here, and all we're trying to do is basically realize his vision to the property. So he expressed it perfectly, the intention and every design decision that we had for the property. It roots back into Pier 54 and Titanic survivors. And material choices, again, it represents the industrial tradition and industrial history of the site. We want to mimic that in our contemporary architectural language by providing metal and glass and stone and all that other things that we will do to the property. And that would conclude the design portion of the presentation.
I have some questions on
Yes.
the renderings. It looks like the renderings are kind of in the middle of the Standard Hotel, right behind it. What is the distance between the two buildings? I mean, it looks visually like it is.
Yes. So
middle.
we are 20 feet away from the property line. So that's all I know. I don't know the exact distance from the,
the
Standard
distance is
Hotel
60
itself.
feet as per Novak.
Okay.
Property.
This is the standard beer garden. Here, this is the standard beer garden.
Oh, the beer garden is on the
It's
lower level.
adjacent
Correct.
Right. Yes.
Oh, interesting.
And so then that's all the standard, so it just wraps behind, and the building itself is, but the standard property is what this abuts.
This abuts right next to it, right?
Yeah.
So I could
Well,
show
there's a
you
60
from
just
this
to be clear,
angle.
there's a 60-foot separation between the buildings.
How much is In the the rear?
60.
60 foot, 20
from
foot from the
facade,
lot
from
and
their
then
front facade to our rear facade.
60 feet.
Correct.
Thank you.
Have you reached out to the standard as part of this application, or what is the relationship of this building and the standard? Is there any?
There's no professional relationship. The only the only consideration was that the engineering consulting firm D. Simone confirmed that we would have to use pile foundations so as not to disturb any of the surrounding structures. So that's kind of one of the hardships facing the site, is that with a site this narrow, you can't do standard foundations. They have to do pile foundations. And so DeSimone, which is a renowned engineering firm, has confirmed that if we're able to do that, if we're able to utilize those foundations, that neither the standard nor the adjacent 3- and 1-story buildings would be affected.
Are we frozen? Do we have sound?
Yes, we do. Yeah, we hear you. Are there any questions?
Can we hear can the room hear us?
Sorry. Oh, you were on mute. Oh, sorry, we were on mute.
We didn't realize we were on mute, sorry. So is there any relationship, which I have read a relationship online between a manager at the Brass Monkey and your property? Do you have any comment on that?
Do we have, I'll ask Novak, is there any relationship between you and the manager of the Brass Monkey?
As you mean amicable?
Like,
Yes,
is it an amicable relationship?
Any kind.
What?
Yeah, I don't think there's no business relationship or ownership relationship.
There's a building.
Brass Monkey and Novak.
There's a building in the middle, which I believe is owned by the Gottlieb estate. And the Brass Monkey occupies, and I might be wrong, but my understanding is they own one building and they net lease the building next door. So the Brass Monkey operates within 2 buildings, which allows for some of the egress requirements, but that's not connected to.
I don't, yeah.
51 Little West.
I think,
But to the point on the pilings, I would wonder how that would impact those adjacent buildings.
Yeah, that's specifically why Novak hired DeSimone, which is and one of the reasons why the site's so challenging, it's basically, to the extent you're using standard mat foundations or other foundations, you're not incurring incredible costs and such. To the extent you have to use pile foundations, it does increase the cost of construction. So DeSimone basically said that in the event that that there was a development at Novak's site, the only way to prevent any erosion or effects on the surrounding foundations would be to use a pile foundations. It's one of the reasons that it's a challenging site. And one of the reasons that we're before the community board and the BSA is because, and Barbara Cohn is also in the room. Barbara is our feasibility analyst. The pile foundations here would be considered premium costs, which are greater than what would be incurred at a standard site. And so in order to do that, that's really the reasons we're asking for the waivers.
Barbara, could you go through, I guess, your part of the presentation in terms of the updated, is it an updated set of financials? I'm just trying to.
Oh, what do you mean updated?
I guess I'm trying to figure out what is the difference from what was presented at the last time that you're.
The report that was submitted to the BSA is the same, it hasn't changed.
Has not changed, okay.
And in that report, in the appendix, there in great detail, DeSimone does a cover letter that really does identify the issues of the poor soil, the issues of the adjacency of that building that has shallow foundations, and the importance of doing these mini piles to support the building, and is in fact structural plans and so on. But the letter really sort of explains, why it's designed the way it's designed structurally to support this, what is a narrow, tall building on a small, narrow site. And
one of the questions that came up, from the last look at the financials was whether the analysis had considered the other commercial uses of the building. I believe that there was a look at, without the variance, right? What would be the profitability of the building if it was a residential conversion? But if it's for example, a boutique hotel, was that part of the financial analysis? Is that a potential scenario that was considered if the variance was not granted?
Well, I mean, the two scenarios are the as of right scenario, which in this case is a commercial office building, and that has its challenges given the small site, the narrowness, the loss factor of once you put in the core, the elevator, all those things, you have very little usable space. Meanwhile, you still have to have those extra premium costs to build that building.
The site, the lot size isn't that, it's a 25 by 100, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
is correct,
approximately,
yes.
which is small and narrow, certainly.
Standard, which is a standard lot size in New York City.
Yes, that's true. But once you start to lay out like a commercial office building or even a hotel that certainly needs a lot of space for back of the house, support services, all the things that go into a hotel, you use up tremendous amount of space, and what's left over, and to be able to also be constrained by the 5 FAR, you don't come out with very much. Meanwhile, you have these, not only the cost just to build what you're building, but then the premium cost due to the site conditions, which is this aggregate of not only the size, the poor soil, the water, and then the
And
consideration.
so you're asking for, instead of 5 FAR, the variance is asking for, what is the total FAR again?
7.02.
7.02, so 40%.
And to be clear about the 7.02, the as of right FAR at the site is 5 for commercial and is 6.5 for a combined commercial and community facility building. So the as of right at a 6.5 would be 16,250, 16250, and the proposal is at 18,128. So
why was the as of right scenario then done with an FAR of 5 and not 6?
Correct. So the FAR scenario that Barbara penciled out was with a 5 FAR because the community facility in this building would be challenging to use in an otherwise commercial building. So it's like when Barbara pencils out her as of right, she pencils out a 6-story building using a 5 FAR for commercial. The actual difference though between what you could build as of right in terms of square footage as well as height is between a 6.5 FAR building with 166 feet in height and a 176 foot tall building with 18,000 square feet. So, if you're looking at the maximum development rights available on the lot, then you're looking at a difference of roughly 1,870 square feet and a height difference of about 10 feet. The problem, of course, is that you can't build that building at 166 feet because while the committee notes that there's other 25 by 100 foot lots in the immediate area, none of them are burdened by these particular conditions, meaning the soil condition, the groundwater condition and such. These conditions have been noted in other variances that were brought to the board, specifically to the north of 13th Street from the site. There were 2 sites, both of which cited soil conditions and both of which received variances from BSA, given how challenging they were. The difference, of course, between those sites and our site is those sites were 15,000 and 23,000 square feet, which are about 6 to 10 times the site of our tiny little site. You basically, in our situation, need to spread out the difficulty in building on a 2,500 square foot parcel, whereas these other sites can absorb that challenge and build those foundations for much larger floor plates and much larger buildings.
Okay. Are there other questions from the committee in terms of the additional materials that we have?
Yeah, I'm just curious about the big blank walls, and then there looks like there's one thing on the wall, but it looks like it sticks out across the lot line. Is that
Sure.
correct?
So I think, I appreciate the question, Carter. So I think that the design element would not stick out across the lot line. We, of course, would need to comply with zoning and building codes, which would mean that it would be impressed into the building. I would note, however, that that Novak was very clear with us that to the extent that, for example, Little Island or the Whitney or the High Line had programming that they wanted to impose graphically, through lights, et cetera, on the side of the building, that would be something which would be thrilling for him as an artist and as someone who's been part of the community for over 4 decades. It's something he'd really be interested in doing. There's, it would require, of course, the compliance with those, with those organizations, and they would have to figure out a way, to standardize it, to foot the bill and such in terms of the projection. But I just wanted to make clear that Novak, very much feels that he wants this to be a community resource. And if that was something, to promote such important institutions in the area, if that was something that he could give, he would really like to give that. It's not, this is kind of a legacy for him, and it's something that, he's thrilled. He would just be thrilled for the opportunity to just even talk to the community board and to others about that.
Are commercial projections permitted in this district, or in, or in any district?
Yeah, I would defer a little bit to Fatih here. I know it's an M15 districts, and again, I don't want to sidetrack the conversation in terms of that, but it's more like, to the extent that we was able to do it through zoning and building code, he just wants to tell the committee that he'd be thrilled to do that. It partially would rely on these other parties, so we don't want to make any representations that they've said okay or even want to, but he did think it would be a pretty nice addition to the neighborhood and give these organizations an opportunity to promote themselves and to promote the arts.
Right, any signage.
Are these just thoughts, or are these are these actual talks that have been had with other?
Yeah, to the extent that we're happy to make whatever commitment, sign a letter, whatever we would need to do. Novak just, he just wanted to make it clear that it's part of what he would plan. So it's not, I know that certain buildings offer advertising for money and such. He doesn't want that.
Let's back up for a second.
Advertising or make any profit.
But let me just go back.
Offer it as a service.
But let me just go back to the question: is it permitted?
Fatih, do you
Can you do a
or
12-story
whether or not it's permitted?
Projection on a building? Is that permitted in any districts?
I don't exactly know the code on M15 district, and I need to go and check back on that one.
Are there any districts where that's permitted?
Every day.
The only thing I could think of is Times Square. In some other district.
Well, I just want to go back that those are commercial billboards.
Right.
And the majority of those commercial billboards, just like the commercial billboards that we have in our community district, are pre-existing non-conforming uses. This is a brand new construction, and I don't know, but I'm just asking if you can create.
No, this won't be qualified as a billboard. We're not looking to do this as a signage. So this is just basically NOAC's providing and donating a black canvas for the local artists if they wanted to use the building as a canvas. So he has no intention of basically providing projection to the building at the moment. But if there's need, he's volunteering the wall to be used as a canvas for the institutions around the neighborhood.
So, but what under what auspices are you able to do that? I mean, What
Well,
are?
As I said,
to
we're
the
not
extent that, again, not wanting to get sidetracked, but to the extent that there was a waiver that was required to do that, he could potentially request that at BSA. But we're
Well,
happy
what is it?
we're happy to look into the regulations and see whether or not, I think it's probably permitted under kind of temporary lighting and such. And an M15 district, being a light manufacturing district, generally has very lax rules in terms of projections. But again, we're happy to take a look at that. I think he just wanted to say that he wanted it to be programmed by the community to the extent that he's able to do that.
Thanks. We have some additional questions. Oh, go ahead, Donna.
No, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, I just sort of bring that up though, that this is a highly visible area and you don't even know what.
With a
I mean,
lot
if
of
that's
businesses-
objectionable to anybody
Right.
that's visible, right, whichever side it's being projected on, it's very visible.
Yeah, if it's a problem or it's objectionable, we would just, we wouldn't do it, to be honest. It's just more that if it's something that the community board and the local area found to be attractive or, desirable, we'd be happy to do it. That's really all.
Can I ask my question?
All right, Frederica, and then Arturo, and
I
then.
think this is a really interesting question, but I think it's not really in the scope of what we have to decide for the variance. We have to look at the unique conditions, the character of the neighborhood, which I have a problem with this building on, the minimal variance necessary, which we are really not able to, and the reasonable return, which we're not able to determine. But I think that given that it's 9 o'clock and we have to function within the terms of the variance, we should be looking at those 5 findings.
Yeah, I agree.
Sure. So thank you, Frederica. Barbara is actually able to kind of provide a little bit of guidance on the minimal return pursuant to the report.
Honestly, Richard, as her client, and we have our job, and I appreciate it, but I think we have to do what we can do and not necessarily be able to assess what she's telling us. So.
Okay. She's a feasibility analyst, but it's fine.
My question is, so given the ongoing concerns about net housing unit loss through apartment conversions, would you consider incorporating a prohibition on unit combinations into the building's governing documents or CFO filings?
I'd say the answer is yes. Just to be clear about the nature of the units, each of the units is roughly 800 square feet. It's 1 unit per floor, and they're 2-bedroom units. So I think that that's not a problem because we just wanted to have really 12 apartments and that's it.
Okay, and I have one more question. So I saw on the design that did change significantly. So on the initial design that you proposed to us or that we received, there was a single central bar running through the building. In the updated plans and designs that we received, now there are 3 bars running through the front of the building.
Right.
These seem rather disruptive and also hazardous. Can you explain a little bit about, I guess, other than the Titanic, can you talk a little bit more about why those are there, why more bars were added? And do you have any sense of whether this will actually benefit the community or prospective residents?
Yeah, I'll start and maybe Fatih might answer that as well. The front of the building is actually meant to mirror the prow of a boat. Specifically, as kind of Novak talked about his vision, it's relating to the maritime history of the building as well as to the Titanic. It's a design element. It's not meant to be obstructive, and it is meant to kind of provide some sort of grounding here for the community and for the surrounding area in terms of the history of this area as well as the history of this site. So, it's Novak is integral in terms of planning and the designing of the building. He's met with the architects countless times, gone to their office, driven them a little bit crazy. But having said that, it's an artistic element to the building. Again, not meant to be obstructive at all. It's meant to basically be a nod to the history of this building in the area. So That's kind of where he was sitting in terms of the bars in the front.
Right. The changes happened because the artist Novak has requested them to be there. So that's why we had to update the renderings. And I do not think it posed a danger to anybody.
Katie?
Sean?
No, Sean, there's not a question.
The Restoration Hardware Hotel within striking distance only has fewer than 10 units. So it's not really a question. I'm just adding for your information that the fact that you did not look at a boutique hotel and there's a very small hotel nearby, which has been successful, is not a good sign in my book. It's not a question. I'm just sharing that with you in this setting. Also, anything that's projected on the side of that building is going to glare into the hotel rooms of the Standard
Yeah,
Hotel.
we don't want to do that.
And you're going to have a constant complaint.
happy to take
It's
that
not
off
a
the
question,
table.
it's just a comment, Richard.
Yeah.
You really cannot light that
It's
up.
only a comment because you brought it up. I mean,
Understood. It was meant to be something that was going to be supportive of the area. If it's not supportive of the area, we'll take it out.
it doesn't seem like a net.
I mean, the community had extensive discussions with Little Island over the lighting they were going to have there to make sure that all the way over on the water wasn't impacting the surrounding area.
Yeah.
Understood. Thank you.
All right. Are there questions from the public? I see one hand. Or that hand disappeared though.
No, it's come back.
No.
Okay.
Pulling around.
Oh, it's Zach.
All right, let me do it. All right, there we go.
You doing it? Yeah, too many of us are.
It kept going from the top to the bottom, top to the bottom. Zach, you can.
Takes a minute.
Hi, sorry.
Hi,
Can you
Zach.
hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just had one quick question on the presentation we received. At the very beginning, the first presenter for the applicant, I apologize if I got his name wrong, but I believe Fatim, said that the ground floor of the building was going to be set back to create public space. What kind of public space is that going to be? It's like privately owned public space, or is there some other legal commitment to creating a public plaza within that space? Or
No, it's just it serves the building. That's all. It's not a public space as per se, like as Parks Department dictates or anything like that. It's private space for the building itself.
Thank you.
It is also part of the regulation of floodplain, so we have to provide a ramp through. So we have to push the entrance back.
So it's
There's a
required.
double purpose. Yes, it's required. So we're within the flood zone, so we have to raise the elevation of the building 1 foot. So it provides either we pitch the whole entrance, or we add steps and create ramps. So we just provide a huge ramp to the entrance.
Oh, so it's slanted. It's
Yeah,
slanted then. Is that what you mean?
Yes, it's slanted. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I think
Andrew.
Yeah, just following up on what Katie said before, I guess a question would be, is it the applicant's contention that there is no financially successful hotel or office building built that exists within 5 FAR on a 25 by 100 foot lot in Manhattan? Because I can think of several. But the contention seems to be that that would not be a possibility in terms of conformance with the zoning here.
Yeah, so I'll start. So Andrew, that's not the contention. The contention is not that a 2,500 square foot lot can't support a hotel. The contention is that a 2,500 square foot lot with a high groundwater table, with soil conditions which are deteriorating and unsupportive, with adjacent foundations which require pile foundations, and adjacency to these two buildings, can't support a hotel. It's basically that when Barbara, who's with us, did her feasibility study, a residential waiver here. And again, the building, as you see it, is really 1 story less than or greater than what you'd be able to get as of right. So when Barbara did her financial study, all that's really asked for, and again, there is 1 additional story to go from 13 to 14, but is for a residential waiver to allow for, instead of potentially 24 or greater hotel rooms, to allow for 12 residential units. That's basically it. So the bottom line is that, yes, hotels, I guess if they're desirable, that's great, but that here the additional income available to the site, to the property as a residential unit would be, would allow the property to make a reasonable return, whereas a hotel, given the site conditions, wouldn't clear that hurdle.
Are any of these site conditions new? I mean, I would assume that these site conditions were there before the purchase of the lot by the
They
applicant.
were, so I mean, Novak owned the lot for 40 years. There was a building that was on the property. As we talked about the fact that had to be demolished 16 years ago. The site conditions have existed the entirety of the time. The building, had to come down, and so it's kind of like now what comes next. And when you take a look at the record in terms of the prior variances across the street, you basically have a history of what site conditions are like in the area, particularly ground conditions. Both of those applications cite to the fact that, number one, in one application, the subsurface conditions included poor soil and a high water table. The second application, the subsurface conditions included poor soil and contamination. So these conditions have always existed. It's just that in order to actually put a building here, we're now presented with these conditions with the adjacent foundations, which we're unable to, we have to pile in order to keep them supported. So yeah, they've always been there.
One more question. Is it a condo or a rental?
It's a condominium. When Barbara did her financial study, one of the things that
that was a quick question.
Richard, thank you.
That was a quick question.
Thank you.
Oh, Zach, do you have another question? Zach,
Yes,
do you have
yeah, I'm sorry. I guess just getting back to the subsoil conditions. I guess the one question that I've been trying to work out here is the uniqueness of the condition. There are multiple sites in the M15 zone that have the exact same subsoil and water table conditions. The 2 variances that were granted immediately to the north, they were basically rear yard and setback variances. They were not for use. They were not for FAR.
So Zach, you're incorrect. I'll read the resolution for 31408BZ, which is 447 West 13th Street. Grants a variance to permit zoning requirements for floor area ratio, height, setback, and rear yard, and use group 10 retail use. In that case, a property which was 16,000 square feet or 15,183 square feet was granted an FAR waiver to allow it to go to 6.19. So
that's correct, although the basis for that waiver was primarily the encumbrance of that site, of that lot by the High Line.
The uniqueness that was cited was the presence of the High Line, correct, but also the subsurface conditions, which included these factors. So BSA did cite to both those conditions, particularly the soil conditions, and they did do a fairly thorough analysis with regards to surrounding sites and found that these soil conditions did exist. And on a site, again, that was 6 times the size of our site, felt that it was sufficient to allow for a waiver of floor area. The waiver of floor area that we're seeking here is 1,800 square feet and is basically the entirety of the hardship here needs to be borne by a site that's 2,500 square feet, a far different application and frankly, a far better candidate for a variance.
Okay, thank you. Great. Any other questions from the public? No? Okay. All right, thank you for coming back and filling in on the blanks that were on the presentation from before.
Thanks, everyone. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Okay, so let's then go on to the number 5, which is a discussion of FY27 district needs statement and FY27 budget priorities. Katie, do you want to?
Do I want, okay, does anybody want a copy of what we did last time? I think that would be helpful. So, this is the expense budget priorities that we put forward, but it also includes the agency responses to them, which are helpful to see what we can do this year, because we've got pretty a lack of response. And the second one is the capital budget. So there are two. The capital budget is shorter, is number one, and the expense is 8. It has 4 in them. Would you, here are the two, so you should wind up with 2.
Okay.
I think this is,
Good.
what?
The numbers.
Oh, wait, I need 1A.
Is there a way to get these to Frederick?
Mark, can you?
We have, how many, we have like 3 or 4 resolutions to discuss?
Yes.
So can we get those out of the way and then maybe do this and circulate the information for the October meeting?
Oh, I mean, this is.
Do the resos first and hold on to them for later.
We want to do the resolutions first?
And topically
I mean,
talk about this for a second and then.
yeah, I mean, this is just the beginning of the discussion. I mean, it's part of the public session, so.
Yeah, I mean, we.
Anyway, here are the documents that you're looking at.
This isn't going to take that.
Yeah, Frederica, we have to take public input on this. So this is part of the public session.
Right, it could be next month, could it not?
Yeah, on our agenda right now, as it is, it's a part of the public session, so.
Okey-doke.
Okay, so for the capital budget priority, it was the number one priority of the whole community board, it looks like. It was affordable housing at 2 Howard Street. And the agency, which is something that we've been talking about for quite a while, and even have received positive response from Senator Schumer at a public meeting a few years ago. But the agency response, HPD, the agency does not support and cannot accommodate. Remove the request. And I guess, and we should contact HPD directly and promptly for more information.
So the question for that is, because it's federally owned, was HPD the wrong agency?
We'd have.
The response.
I think this is what we've always struggled with, right? Because it is a federal.
Federal, yeah. Contact the agency.
Well, no, but this is just a city process.
Right.
So
I think
this
we had.
wouldn't be included in our.
I think we had identified HPD as the most likely city agency to be on the other half of this process in speaking with the federal side.
Yeah.
Those allocate sufficient funds for the city to acquire. There, is the response, this agency is saying it's not even for sale, right? So why are they not interested?
They're not interested. Well, maybe they're interested now. I certainly think that housing has taken a different profile, has been given a different profile.
This is also not the first time this has been on our capital budget priority.
I'm not disputing any of that, but I'm just pointing out it's not for sale or not. The federal government is not, I'm not saying we shouldn't continue to do this.
Yeah.
But for the agency to expend resources on a project that is not in the mix I just raised that because
And
this comes up each time, right?
We want it to be for sale, but maybe it isn't.
Yeah, and so they just don't even look at it, even though we're putting it on here.
I mean, we felt more optimistic because we've gotten positive, response from Senator Schumer, who is on the federal level. Yes, we should look into it.
I'm not discounting any of that. I'm just saying.
I think that's the reasoning.
In this fiscal year, we're asking the city to allocate funds for something that's.
From their perspective, not a project.
Right, and so And just the more we go through this process every year, year after year, and with the responses, I'm just wondering if this makes a very strong statement to our elected officials.
Right.
But is this a proper request? Putting in our number one, whereas if we wanted to look at affordable housing, maybe something perhaps a little better is something that Stella had raised a little bit, which is funding for some of these projects that we're seeing that are coming up. You know, I don't know enough about it to know where that funding would be, but you know, that they had said there perhaps there are state funds, but in this case, are there any type of city funds that can?
Well,
again, you know, we heard from Gansworth, no city funding.
Right.
So for that project, because it's supposed to be entirely funded by private. So I'm just wondering, is there a way to rework the request in some way that city funds are allocated towards affordable housing in a better fashion, instead of when
reiterating the request?
Yeah, when we didn't have any other projects. Now we have a significant, or not, we've had many come through very quickly. And so is 2 Howard the vehicle through which we're asking for more funds from the city to be allocated?
I think the question is, do we want to, I mean, it's also a political document, right? I mean, we want to keep 2 Howard on the agenda. I guess the question is, how do we structure that more effectively versus just doing the same request that we have put on for the last several years?
Which could have been done differently with city funding.
The amount of city funding to tell us it does not support it and cannot accommodate it is minuscule compared to the amount of funding we need for affordable housing.
Yeah.
They could take care of this in about 20 minutes.
Well, Eugene, before October, let's you and I contact the agency directly. And talk.
We can talk.
Yeah, and, you know, try to.
For these
see-
requests?
Yeah, see what they're thinking about this now, if, you know.
How they interpreted our request.
In the current environment too, I mean,
I just think that as a political document, it's
Right.
important to keep this.
On the front burner.
Yes, I think it would be.
I don't disagree, but last year and the years before, we had no affordable projects coming before this board.
And that's a different landscape that we have now.
And so the landscape without reality has changed, where there may be resources from the city budget in the coming years that actually can be allocated towards what we would like to see, which is affordable housing, or tangential aspects, which would encourage more.
Where this isn't our only hope anymore.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, this is a very large site,
But
don't
one
get
of the
me
main
wrong,
hopes,
but this is a cross site that the initial, you know, has to be, we're asking the city for something that the federal government has to
initiate,
has to give up.
Right.
And trust me, I think if the federal government were giving it up, the funds would become available. So it's sort of asking in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
We can do both too, right?
Yeah, I mean, let's go back and have a discussion with HPD. I see your point about maybe the landscape is different, but
well, I see here there are a couple others, number 15, contact the agency. Eugene and I, we won't talk about that more here. Eugene and I will contact the agency on 28, on 15. We have to have a few conversations, and then we'll bring it back to you in October. How does that sound?
In 15, we had an extensive discussion last time with respect to that, whereas that's managed by a state agency, that information that we're looking for. And what we had asked for was a workaround, but that's not what the city does. Because we've seen that data that's been provided through, you know, the formula that being extrapolated right from some of the city tax information. So this is, again, you know, something we've asked them for, but it's not something they then
responded positively to this.
Yeah. You know,
I think the only other thing that I was curious about is if we could submit a request to either DOB or HPD or the mayor's office on a study. I think Carter, you talked about this as, there seems to be an appetite for more residential into meat packing, and instead of having dash haphazard, projects that don't really align or all kind of at the developer's, desire, can we have a more holistic vision for meat packing that incorporates this potential
plan?
Yeah, essentially.
Okay.
And on top of that, revisit Hudson Square rezoning, funding to study that or whatever it may be. I mean,
Right,
there's some aspect of this, because that's something that, we keep coming up against.
What did they say about a request for Hudson Square effectiveness? They just said they cannot support and accommodate, right? It's number 8.
Yeah.
The Manhattan Borough Office would like to better understand the board's request. Okay.
Okay, well, that's another.
Okay, so that sounds like we have a discussion we need to have with the borough's office.
And it's something that Eugene and I were discussing this afternoon was, I guess it's an expense item, is more money for someone like George James.
Or planners, right.
Yeah.
But we're asking for money for us, which I'm not sure is
in line with
what this is. I just bring that up because that's.
Who's going to question?
Who will be asking? I mean, that's what we ask our budget to be increased, or those are the funds that we get that are allocated from the city council members. And I believe that the Councilman Marte has provided us with funding that can be directed to those types of things. We've asked elsewhere, I think, for a planner for budget increase, but I'm not sure this is where I can be wrong.
We
but
put it then.
This
is the only time we ask for money.
No, but we're not asking for money. This is where we'd like to see how the
district, not for city share.
It's cutting up the pie, right? I mean, that's what we're trying to influence, which, is the side of politics people don't talk about all that much, but that's sometimes the most important part. Where does the money go? So it's.
Okay. But
I do
support you.
I mean,
And with,
So it's 2025. This is very complicated because as we heard through the ongoing things that we've learned, rent stabilized residential uses can be removed under very unique circumstances. So we may want to retailer that request and direct it to, as they point out, to the DOB of the Loft Board and direct it at them, because with the resulting units, if you're the original occupants, I believe that you can be bought out under the loft conversion. So it's a very interesting topic, but I think what we're asking for, there are also some records that were destroyed, presumably, but what we're asking for is sort of a through line of each unit and whether they were removed, not removed, whether they're stabilized, what do they stand today? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's of note, but it's a lot of.
It's a lot of.
I mean, is it? You may just want to retailer that.
We want to make it a more specific request.
Yeah. Took some notes. Thank you. If we need, thank you for the offer, Carter.
And then the flip side of that is I'm not sure that the Loft Board has the resources to do that, because I think some of those lost records that we've heard about and
So if not the Loft Board, then which agency?
no, I'm saying it is, but I'm not sure that
They don't have the money. They don't have the records anymore.
But we're asking for the money for.
Asking for the money.
I know.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, but if you ask for the money, it has to be.
Has to be something there.
Under DOB collaboration with the landlord, something like that.
Well, we'll have some conversations.
Study the request. I mean, maybe that's what we want the outcome to be, right?
Just to study the.
If you request something that can't be done.
Okay. Are there any comments from other committee members?
Any additional things that we should consider?
I mean, going to Carter's point earlier about like subsidy, state subsidy and GFCs. I think that maybe the right request, but I think that it's probably pretty slim chances is that we could ask just for a study of sites that would be eligible for HDFC conversion.
Kind of like what we were.
Usually they're.
Before a developer comes in a project.
Usually they're different and they're sponsored by a nonprofit.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you know, because you lived in one, it's a collaboration between the tenants association and the nonprofit and HPD. And it's usually or at least from my experience, it's a pretty narrow group of buildings that were foreclosed on in the 70s. I don't know if this was, no, okay.
But, there are a lot of new movements to change things to Article 11 that are currently Article 2. So there's thinking about HDFCs in Article 11. And these guys have come up with a new wrinkle too, so.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah, so I don't think there are a lot of old buildings with apartments that are eligible to become, or that are, tax burden or tax delinquent. But these guys this Madigan group is showing us something new.
Yeah, I see that there was one on Elizabeth Street that was converted in 2018 between Housen and Prince.
The address?
Yeah, it's 244 Elizabeth.
It was converted from what?
It was converted from rental. It was one of these specific tenant interim lease program buildings. And then they worked with, which nonprofit was it? It was Asian Americans for Equality. And the existing tenants converted into co-op holders of the building.
Oh, okay.
So it was 11 existing tenants.
But not an HDF, I see.
Yes, it converted into an HDF.
Oh, they did, okay.
And that's kind of.
But the tenants themselves.
Working with AFI. Well, we know the head of AFI, Thomas Yu.
Oh, you do?
He's spoken to us when we had an affordable housing working group under David Gruber. We could ask him to see if any other examples like that.
Yeah.
And he, AFI is an affordable housing developer.
Yeah.
Converted from the city of rental.
Yeah. It can be very creative.
Okay, that's an interesting one to look into. Okay.
He might give us some other examples.
Any other ideas for additional things for us to look into or ask this year?
There, it comes up each year. Is any enforcement, any additional enforcement? Are there any aspects of anything that we don't think are being, whether it's zoning or building? Or just asking if anybody.
We don't seem to get many complaints about that compared to outdoor dining.
Do you get any complaints like the DOB or any land use things or zoning, any additional enforcement?
To the extent that we do, it's usually landmarks.
Yeah.
Okay.
And non-conforming things like that. But
Yeah.
we don't get a lot of those either, so.
Or don't you occasionally get like noise complaints for constructions? I mean, that's not something that we would
Well,
look
that's
into, but.
DEP and
Yeah.
that, and those noise construction, various permutations of it.
Right.
Is every month. That's the most complaints. We don't get them, DEP gets them.
Right,
Because
right.
of the 3-1, that's where 301 routes them. While I'm interrupting, we can ask for more money for the community board budget itself.
Right.
It's not in this rubric, it's in a different rubric.
Okay.
And notwithstanding the fact that the city charter promises us that urban planner we're talking about, it never materializes. So that might be something that this committee would suggest to a different part of the district needs statement. And the other thing I'll remind you is that in addition to the budget priorities, we also have narrative descriptions of district needs. So, and I've circulated those. It would be great to somebody to take a look at that and refresh it so that I'm not the only one reading it.
Okay.
So thanks.
Okay.
Okay. Any comments from the public?
I was gonna say,
Yes.
as we go forward,
Yes.
and this is just something that perhaps if we were to start next year in January, if we just put on a spreadsheet what we talked about for the year going forward, it's easier to look back to remind ourselves of any district needs that we might
As we go along.
jogged about by looking backwards. Because I was just thinking, this reminded me of, we were asked on the Washington Street application with respect to moving the panels for the construction of that building, overnight, and all the trucks and attaching them to the new building, which is now that they're just opening the lottery for the senior housing. But that's the type of thing that goes back into, is there better coordination on construction, right? Or any studying, so we get more construction aspects or anything that might make that work better, or staging things. I mean, a lot of that's private development, but it still has a big impact on us, and maybe facilitating construction, particularly because a lot of it seems to be like it will be housing, in a better manner.
Right. I mean, the 160 Leroy got their lawyer involved, and then we sort of dropped out of that conversation, but they made their own private deal. Yeah. Okay, well, it's in the notes. I have my ideas, Carter. So are we ready to start
Yeah, let's
discussion?
do business session and for the resolutions.
Can we turn on the AC again?
You're falling asleep. Are you falling asleep?
All right, can we start with 51 Little West 12?
So since we said we're ending the public session now.
Sorry. We are ending the public session. We are opening the business session. You are welcome to stay for the business session, but all of the input will be from within the committee members. We will be discussing the resolutions, potential resolutions or notes for 51 Little West 12th, 126 Lafayette, 30 Thompson, and 285 Hudson.
And 126 Lafayette is just advisory?
Well, technically, 126, 30 Thompson, and 285 are technically all advisory. There's no requirement that we have a resolution for those three. So the only one that we have a requirement for is on the variance, which is for 51 Little West 12. It is up to us whether we want to have a set of minutes, a letter, or a resolution for all of the others, the other three ones that we heard today. So why don't we do the one that's required first, which is 51 Little West 12. So just to reiterate, they've come for a zoning variance. Just to remind the committee, for under 7121, the applicant needs to show they need to overcome 5 hurdles, essentially. One, that they have unique physical conditions, including irregularity, narrowness, or shallowness of the lot size or shape. B, a reasonable return would not be possible without the variance, so that they need to show that without the variance, there is no way that they can do a reasonable return. C, we need to show that the variance would not alter the essential character of the neighborhood or district. D, show that the hardship is not self-created. So the hardship needs to not have been created by the owner. Right, made that a difficult way of saying this, but the hardship cannot be created by the owner. It needs to be a naturally occurring hardship. And then E, the variance that is granted is the minimum variance necessary. And so all of these conditions need to be met in order for us to approve or give our approval for the variance. And again, our vote is advisory.
So for A,
Where do we find this by thing?
Sorry, so that is under the zoning resolution, right? So in the zoning resolution,
Okay, thank you.
yeah, for 7321,
I got it, thank you.
yeah.
Form that we submit, there are 4 choices.
Oh, right, also the form, that's right. I don't have the form.
are you all from a class?
Yeah,
I'm not.
You're not. Okay.
Public, the true public. Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Always welcome, always welcome.
Yes, so there is a form that we need to fill out, or it's recommended that we fill out. I don't have it handy right in front of me. Mark, do you have it handy?
Yeah, it's in the drive.
Oh, here it is. Okay, it's on the screen. So we would need to recommend either approve with modifications or conditions, disapprove, or waive our recommendation.
So maybe we should just start by asking a straw vote.
Yeah, let's do a straw vote then for each of these.
Well, okay.
Or
For all,
the other
I
one
mean,
is, yeah,
just
for-
do it. Okay,
Thank you.
so
That's for actually you. Sorry, go
So
ahead.
I don't know if we would like to start with a straw vote, just to see, and then we can fill out, if that might be efficient. Is there anyone who's going to vote to approve this variance, based on what we've heard and what we know?
I wanted to say that, like, I was a little disappointed by the ultimate kind of resolution of all this, because I do want to support this project. I do welcome the housing project. And I just thought they would come to us today with like a bit of a more neighborhood kind of character respecting project. I think a lot of elements that they brought in felt unnecessary, especially when I think they already received quite a bit of feedback from the committee last time that, you know, some folks would like to have seen maybe different uses. And so that was just disappointing for me, that like it couldn't have just been a bit more of a straightforward housing project with like maybe less controversy to it.
It's not straightforward. They're just can't be, I understand. I agree.
There was a lot of
I agree.
embellishment, yeah.
Yeah.
And unnecessary. I mean, I think with the rendering definitely did help in terms of showing their vision. I mean, after that, I find it difficult to, I'm looking at the third aspect of this, the variance will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood or district. I mean, I just don't even see how to pass that hurdle.
I know.
As it's been presented to us.
It also doesn't, we know there's a significant appetite for some of the high-end uses. And one of the high-end uses, which I think that we've seen there is an appetite for, is the hotel use. And that is.
Or high-end office, quite frankly, too.
Yeah, and a high-end office as well. and
Somebody
both
not the
are-
size of Google might want their own office.
Which are.
That's in there, that's a whole building.
Which are as of right uses here. And, while I don't like to hear, one of the things I recall from the Soho rezoning as well, look, you have to put some of these things somewhere. And these are uses that has a lot of other luxury uses where, and there's an example nearby, which is in it, which is the Restoration Hardware Hotel, where that could be something that works. And so I think that there are some other uses that I'm not sure I take into account that they were thoroughly explored, that could provide a reasonable return as a right use, and the planned office space as well. We saw conversion that wanted to have in not a high square footage building, that wanted the right to use to have office space and to remove zoning restrictions in order to have that. So there are examples of conforming uses that seem to reasonably work in this area, and examples of very recent conversions where they do, and that's the version on Gansford Street, where we're removing the use group 6 office restrictions, as the example, and then the Restoration Hardware Hotel.
Yep.
And there is a demand for higher end office suites in the area because that exists in other buildings as well. And then there's
That up to us to think about alternative uses.
well, no, as of right uses and whether they can be financially viable.
That's not one of the findings. So what I would
I'm
say.
not done yet. Thank you, Frederica, but I'm not finished yet. But I also wanted to point out the hardship is a self-created hardship. This building was not maintained.
That's right.
It was previously here, and that was never properly addressed when we asked those questions, and it was neglected, and the condition of the empty lot was there was no fault found.
And not only was, but Carter, I want to add to that.
Yeah.
We asked him, and he said he did not go to the Standard Hotel for them to redress the damage that they supposedly caused to his building, and he didn't have an agreement with them beforehand, a construction, agreement.
Well, if you
We asked him.
recall, there was no allowable occupancy in the building because the upper floors had not been maintained, and there was no sprinkler put in, et cetera. And that the city took it down because there was some question, because it became unstable, but a building, the open question, it was never resolved, I'll put it that way. So
Right.
the hardship, though, it doesn't come through, he could still remove any building and still had a non-self-created hardship, right? So that, I'm not sure that counts, but I think that's important to include.
Yes. And the condition of the lot is not at all unique. The subsoil is not unique. The financial analysis did not take into account the prevailing rents for office space, the prevailing sale of condos nearby, and it did not analyze the boutique hotel or or really analyze office space. It didn't address that completely, even outside of the cost. Well, it's an overwhelming building. It is going to totally change the character of the neighborhood. The whole idea that it's self-created hardship, seems pretty, pretty clear to me that there is some burden on the owner for the condition. Yeah, and then it's not the minimum variance necessary because the financial analysis is incomplete. When we can't tell whether it's the minimum variance because the financial analysis is incomplete. So I don't think they made any of the findings.
I agree.
I think the one about 2,500 square foot, as I mentioned last month, is valid because there were 20, yeah. That's why, as I mentioned, there must be, at least half a dozen, maybe even a dozen buildings in Soho, 25 by 100, and they're one-story buildings. And believe me, developers would take them down and build if they could, but they can't. And I've spoken to a couple of them, and they said it's just not economically feasible to build a multi-story building on a 25 by 100, given the building codes we have nowadays. So I think someone in the profession, like he says, knows that. And I think it would make us look maybe ignorant, if that's the right word, to insist that it is buildable when it's not. So I think just to give us some credence, we should let them have that one. And then we have more power and strength and verity for the other ones that we deny.
Well, you know what, Sean, if they came to us and they said, we'd like a variance for use, but they came to me, if I were reading it, we'd like a variance for use to build a townhouse. 25 by 100 is a standard townhouse in Greenwich Village. Oh, I would say maybe I would consider that because it would be a 5-story townhouse, you know, and it would, and we see that people want to live in these individual homes. There's a market for a brand new townhouse, but that isn't what they're coming to us with. You know, I mean, there are uses where I think they could make money.
But they're not just that's a very practical solution, and particularly in that part of our area. But that's not his vision. You know, he is a character, and that, you know, we saw the Titanic presentation, you know, like he'll never do the townhouse. There's nothing in it for him. It's not a dream come true.
But that would.
I know. I mean, you would think immediately, why wouldn't you just build a townhouse?
Yeah, I think for me, that's the biggest one. I think for the third criteria of like character of the neighborhood, like with modifications, I think I could be a yes. And I do think there are unique conditions. I don't know enough to assess whether or not this hardship is self-induced. And I do also have questions about the ROI and is this the minimum variance necessary?
Yeah.
That's hard to say.
Building's the minimum.
Yeah, I mean, I think that his vision is a very singular vision and it's not a practical vision, right? I mean, he could have modified his concept, I think, to be much more palatable to the neighborhood.
Well, that's part of the hardship being self-created.
Right,
So
right.
It connects to the vision, not the townhouse.
Yeah.
Right, right, because he has a very specific vision that he feels can't be done unless it's a, you know, 20-story tall building or whatever this is.
I know is Leonardo DiCaprio going to get up in the prow.
Yes.
Donna, have you exhausted you live the closest to it of any of us.
But you covered it. I mean, it's not whether I like it, but this is, what I'm looking for really, there was some article that I saw today, and I can't even remember where I saw it, about some very high-end, small boutique office space, and I almost said I didn't save it, so it might be still in my history on my computer, but I was specifically thought of this space when I saw it because it was exactly, I don't know how many stories it wasn't a large, but it was 25 by 100. I said, isn't that the size of the lot? So, you know, there are things I don't, you know, this is a sort of typical, I mean, yes, we have bigger buildings, but we also have many that are that lot size.
Yeah, there are 2,500.
Yeah, it's not uncommon.
And that was something too, was raised, I don't know if it was Zach or if it was somebody else who had raised that process of going through this and even housing is this the right process and is there a hardship or is it actually that the area should be rezoned to accommodate more housing or is right, it's a separate conversation or maybe it's not. I mean, I don't know and
We're not having, it's not on the table right now.
No, I understand, but it's if the hardships that they've identified, that they
If the hardship
believe
is
are
that
hardships,
housing isn't allowed.
you know, should in fact, the housing is not allowed, but they're saying that's what we have to get the variance for, maybe the whole area, this should be readdressed, right? So that there's a better direction in how this is reconciled, but it's hard. This is an outlier area in some respects that it's hard, and I think it's something we should raise, that it's hard to apply models to, because as we see, even with this other presentation across the street, we get these big outlier projects when nobody's suggesting don't develop this, but it's just a reasonable development. But I think that some of the as of right reasonable developments there's room for the outliers of that within the.
I mean, I feel like if he had asked for a variance, like a change of use, that would be one thing, but a change of use and the additional FAR, I feel is unnecessary. You could have done a single family conversion.
You don't need that.
You don't need the
There's no
extra.
justification.
Or if they came for variance, right, for office use.
Right,
and
or
said,
a
"We would
taller
like to see
office."
A little bit more height so that there could be more offices. to cover
Right,
the cost.
it's a combination of, it's like a change of use and maximizing the FAR to like in a large extent. And
And I'm also thinking about the character of the neighborhood question, just on that block. Everything on that block is brick and low rise.
Yeah.
The 3 existing buildings. And I know the standard is, you know, booming, but that's not what the block is pretty intact, except for him.
And it's the standard, you know, when the standard was done, I mean, it was, to those of us that lived there, kind of horrifying. Well, the dance horrifying was the first
Right.
horrifying. The standard was like, oh my gosh, but the way they did it was so that, you know, unless you're walking up the High Line, that's when it's a wall.
Right.
But from, you know, east and west, it's not a wall.
Right.
So.
And this is gonna be a sheer.
And so, you know, I was actually walking the neighborhood over the weekend. I was out on Little Island looking and on top of the Google, but look that way. It's like, you're gonna have this development over here, that, you know, with the Whitney and everything. And then you have this, which, and this is like, the standard is kind of an iconic, you know, something else might go in, but this is like another sliver.
It's a sliver.
Something, I don't know.
Okay.
it's just like a rectangular, yeah, it's.
I mean, and no window, you know, maybe they
Not in
can't because
context.
of the lot line, east and west side, but to have that blank thing, that's what people
We're gonna see.
on little, you know, this is, I mean, that's the view. That's why the standard actually, for those of us that are there all the time, it kind of works, because when you're looking east and west,
It
you're
doesn't.
not really,
You
I
see
mean,
the smaller.
billboards that are
Right.
stuck on it now, and you're not really, you know,
Right.
it's there, but
The rotation helps.
this would be a whole wall of whatever.
Projections
Not
maybe,
windows, but potentially, right.
like Times Square.
And some art piece on it.
Yeah,
So
I
we don't
mean,
deny this?
yeah, let's take a straw poll. I mean, what about for deny?
All in favor of deny?
Frederica not have anything to say?
Frederica still on?
Is Frederica still there, Mark?
No, she's not.
And just be sure also not forget to comment that while it's not in the historic district, it is
Adjacent to.
Yeah, it's right adjacent to the historic district.
Right.
Little block that's cut out.
All right. I mean, I think we have our vote for the resolution.
Okay, deny?
Yeah, I would just like not to be
You
too
would like
much.
to not deny. and-
No, I vote to deny, just like, I think, I don't want to have like the resolution text these to, we just wanted a hotel or we just wanted a commercial, like, we were open to housing as well. Like, I would like for that text to be considered.
I understand why you want to say that. That's more of a political statement, but.
No, I mean, it's
that when
not a
we
political
have-
statement. We do need more housing.
Well, that's a political statement, but because you're saying here on the site. And I think that.
No, in
coming
the
back
neighborhood,
to
in the community board in general.
Yeah, but it's still, we're talking about the specific site, right?
I have to go through
And-
five.
and-
Yes, and I think that
and
also would be
within-
good
and
for
within
housing.
that, well,
It's a different debate.
Yeah, it's.
Okay, Carter, are you voting to deny?
Yes, I just want to.
Are you voting to deny?
I want to just point out that we don't want to present a denial then that they work through.
Yeah.
And that's why.
Those are the five findings.
To be.
Those are the five
cautious
findings.
About what isn't okay, because what they brought to us, we're not okay with.
Yeah, they didn't, what's this, is that me?
He's trying.
Oh, okay, no problem. Okay, so this is a deny, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No abstentions, no recusals, no nothing. No other, types of votes. Okay, now, number 2 is 126 Lafayette Street. And they want our opinion about 126 Lafayette Street.
But I do think on all of these, we should be doing, because just as one of the attorneys had said, that they read it. And I think that it's important to lay out our concerns.
That's fine. I was just pointing out that technically we didn't have to present a resolution. I'm just saying that.
No, right, but wouldn't it have been?
I'm fine with it if the committee wants to do a resolution. That's always our option to do so.
I think on the other two especially, it's important to, because had we had a little bit of scalability and thought at 45 Bleecker Street and other sites that may have been smaller, that whole situation there could have come out differently, right? Because it could have been done as opposed to money going into a fund. It could have been directed. So I think that we need to keep this, it's important to say, look, the community is very open to options that we were told would never happen, which was the whole point that Andrew was making. And that Pete made, was somebody who sat, in the Envision group, and he kept being told, oh, it's not gonna happen, it's not gonna happen. And
The city
we have some
basically said it's not.
situations that are happening, and so we want to keep that open. Especially, this is a very complicated landscape that there are obviously some people who are incredibly knowledgeable, like the applicants that came before us. They're willing to create their business models around doing this, that we need to keep that open and welcome those individuals to come to see,
Okay, so
take advantage of those.
are we going to send a resolution in favor of this?
Which one? You're
126 Lafayette.
Well, this one too, yeah.
Okay, so, but I'm not, so are we sending in favor? And then we'll go over the details. Any opposed? Abstentions, recusals? Okay,
126.
126. Okay, so we're in favor, but.
I'd like to make a point about the labor. the
Yeah,
99.
All right, yep,
Yes, it's worth making a point.
labor is at issue. And, they are getting contracts from union and non-union, but, that doesn't mean they're taking the.
But it's also a citywide issue, right? It's city policy that.
They're right. They're playing up to.
Right, and I would make it a point that it's by a sliver. I mean, it really is.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
that's what I
It's like if they were further lower, I would not be making.
If there were 80.
Right, exactly. But this is clearly just skirt the issue.
Well, but I just want to talk about it, but it's a small percentage point that they, we assume everybody builds the maximum FAR, but they haven't diminished this that much. And it's what the proposal they came out with, it may be a business decision, but it's not like they left a significant amount of units, on the table, or a significant, and they've gerrymandered their size of their units dramatically.
Well, one thing.
This is a very reasonable.
They've made more bigger units too, right? Presumably to get there, they had to combine.
So we like the
Bedrooms and
two-bedroom
bedrooms.
choice.
I think we all like, but I just think I think we should be very cautious in this case of calling that out too much.
We have to mention it.
Because, yeah, I'm not disagreeing, but it's not a whole lot.
But one thing I noticed on the list, and sorry, the conversation got away from me partly because we couldn't see the list so well. There is a supers apartment in there.
Yeah,
Is the supers apartment included in the 99, or does that make it 100? Is the supers apartment part of the 99, or does it make it 100? I couldn't tell. Yeah, so that's something. But anyway, they are, they have the income bands. Do we want to say anything about that? Do we comment on that? Right.
I mean,
Seem compliant with the rules.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
Well, it
I mean,
seems consistent with what, this, even though this is the MIH, right, but it seemed consistent with what the community kept asking for as a result of the rezoning.
Nothing above.
And that was
100.
more affordable units and diversity within the community, right? So I think that, and the income diversity, so I think that that is respectful of that.
And I think, yeah, they didn't shortchange the number of units.
I think we have.
There's nothing above 100, which was also another concern for the
We didn't want
Gummer
them under
project.
30.
Yeah, I think, okay, so, and the income bands. Also, I think that we have to, applaud the, amenities, all have free access to all amenities, applaud the income bands.
They may even charge the market rate.
Market rate.
Yeah, exactly, this is, they might have a little trouble with that. Are they going to have get a liquor license for that demo
They said no.
kitchen?
They said no.
No, I'm asking the liquor license.
You know, that's a very good question, because that is a very nuanced part, and
What is it that?
from what I've understood is that community rooms and buildings, that they get temporary permits now. Is that something everybody needs to talk about and get in? I don't think so, but it's not the building.
Maybe they'll come back to us.
No, they don't come to us. It's generally temporary.
Yeah.
They do in the back.
If you bring
Oh, I see.
events
They do
to
it.
serve to other people, you're technically.
So but I think that we should also applaud the fact that this is not an in lieu of building and all the affordable housing is on site. We might want to, what do you think about memorializing the worker? You know, that's
Yeah.
sad. Just mentioning it. What number is that? Number 2. That's just the thing. Okay, building staff. Oh, the building staff will get, I guess they're going to be,
And I just want to point out another thing, I did not look, but I don't think, because when I first heard about this project 7 or 8 or 9 months ago, or it was, I don't think that this was one of the sites that was identified.
oh,
in
interesting.
Zoning as a
I don't think it
developable
was
site.
either.
So this, just all the stuff that we're hearing tonight brings up all these failures in something that just happened. And issues that the community raised and projections that were incorrect by the city. And so it will be, right now, there's an appetite for housing on these smaller lots, but what about some of these bigger lots? Or, you know, we already saw there's potential of building another significantly large residential unit, but I hope that's what we continue to get, because it's not what we
Have been getting.
happen in other areas.
Now, do we want to do 30 Thompson Street and 285 Hudson together?
Yes.
Or we want something else?
Oh, no, I don't know if they said this was a lead building, but it is an all electric.
Oh, yeah.
If that's anything you want to point out on that.
Yeah, it has to be, and by sub-metering, that's the cheapest, they're gonna get the cheapest kilowatt hours possible. So we will apply.
I hope that's good for the tenants. I mean,
Yeah.
because it's,
Yeah, it will be. I mean, there are, I've gone through sub-metering.
Going up, I mean, you know,
Kind of
good for
not
the
letting out.
environment, but.
If they have to pay for more utilities than,
Well,
A
in a
typical
building,
building.
10%, there's 10% uses like 50% of the energy. And everybody else supports it until they give the sub-metering, because we were in unsub-metered buildings. And so the energy hogs, and they may be perfectly good reasons. They may have medical equipment or something that they need, but then everybody's supporting it. When you know what you're paying, when you're paying for your stuff,
Yeah,
I haven't gone through it, I think it's better.
We decide to turn off the air conditioner or whatever. Put on more blankets.
Susan is listening very carefully.
Shorter hours.
If the window's open.
Yeah,
Okay, Okay, so I've got a lot of stuff about that, but what about 30 Thompson and 285 Hudson? Do we do them separately or together?
I say we could do them together.
Well, no, I think you could almost say the same thing for both, but they're two separate
Yeah, we
projects.
should.
They need to be on the same
Yeah, we need
level
to
in
be-
case something goes awry. I mean, even if it says basically the same thing.
They're the same, assembly member, council.
Well, they affect the
Yeah,
building.
they could be
What if one
off-
project drops or
But
something?
they affect the building as
They're different?
they
Oh, okay.
affect 60 West Broadway.
Oh, okay.
You know,
And
they combine, the two make them able to have the big air. If they only did one,
Right.
Well, they also don't have to go together, meaning they don't have to be built.
One isn't
together, they don't
conditioned
have
on
to-
the other aside from what you're saying,
Right.
it sort of is.
the whole thing is to
That's all,
get
but
the
these-
luxury buildings.
To get the 360.
But they're.
West
Okay.
Broadway.
So you do want them separate, but with the same comments?
Right,
Okay. Separate,
it's a different size.
I mean, as they pointed out, this is at the earliest phases.
Susan has her hands up.
Oh, yeah, Susan?
oh, Susan, yes.
Sure, thank you. I just wanted to express one concern is that this is a new model that they're presenting, and it sounded like they put a lot of thought into it, and it's going to be an attractive building because they're trying to show that this is a great idea of having all of this inclusionary housing separated from the luxury housing. My concern is that if this idea gets accepted, what is the next going to look like? Are they going to put the same kind of thought into it, or is this the lower income, lower profit building that's separated out from the luxury housing? And
Yes,
that,
exactly.
this is, the first one always looks the best.
Mm.
What's going to mean if this model gets repeated?
Yeah, so we want to make sure that this is the best possible and that lessons learned are applied in future.
But this is the first for us, but this is the citywide model.
Has it been done elsewhere?
Right, more, but that's why,
Sort of a church change.
that's, yeah, and that's what the developer
But
had
I think it's
pointed out.
unique, it's unique in a luxury neighborhood.
Right, but what I'm saying is that we're very concerned about the equivalent, but that's, is that the requirement? And up to what point? But we were told this would never happen, period, repeatedly.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's happening and now, I think we need to be cautious about raising too many questions because you want to have access, particularly under homeownership, through here. And I just
So Carter, what about this? This is one bullet, this is the first example for us. We want to watch future examples carefully and will comment, not accordingly, but will comment, intensively. I'll work on it, but I think that, we're not saying that this is the best model. We don't know if it's the best model yet. And
But maybe what you also want to point out is what I want. You just said that they paid attention to all the details. Like that's one of the things that they're using. Like it looks like it's a well-designed building. It's, looks like it's high quality. It fits in with the character of the neighborhood and just list some of those things so that if somebody comes and decides to build something that we'd all be looking at and saying, this does not look like it's doing justice to the people that are living there, you can make the.
Well, like
make
he
different
said
comments.
himself, it's not like an old-fashioned model of public housing. That it's meant to be different.
in this Anita's point, it's design excellence. And that's not.
Right. Yeah.
Right, and it's
Which they
just-
volunteered.
And what we have is
Should we say that was
sophisticated
not-
investors coming in to build here, and they want to contribute to the community because they're also going to have the other properties, which
In the
they're,
community.
that
that go along with this that are the high end, and they.
Okay, well, okay, so this is what, we're going to applaud that it's affordable in perpetuity. And that it's affordable ownership
Yes, big one, yeah.
in perpetuity. And we're going to, also applaud them for choosing HDFC sort of by default in perpetuity. And see what else we liked. Do. We do realize that we will get an additional market rate building out of this. And I think, I don't know if they said, but I did the math, it's gonna be about 300 units at the Broadway. Yeah. In order, because this is 68 affordable units, and that's 30%.
Yeah, just of the square foot though. But it's 30% of the square foot. So I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm just calculated 167,000 square feet. So
I don't know, 160.
But the Lafayette one is half of that. The 126 Lafayette is 80.
That's right, it's much.
So it's double.
Getting 5% more affordable, remind me.
Yes.
Right? 5% more affordable because of what's the reason?
Offsite.
Oh, from the offset. And then also, it will, if the HDFC doesn't go through, if that fails, we will get an affordable rental.
HPD, but yeah.
Right. Well, the HDFC, if the Article 11 co-op does, if they don't get approved by the city council, they'll go for an affordable rental.
I think that was for, they have to get approved by HPD for the affordable ownership, and then they'll go to rentals. The Article 11 thing, I think they were saying if they don't get that, then the project is a no-go. That was what I heard.
Yeah.
So I think then they'll go to the rentals.
Yeah, in order to
Because
get
that's
the
only
HDFC co-op.
Article 11 is.
Our HDFC and Article 11 are the same thing.
Yeah.
And, well, they could get an HDFC rental, but they have to go to the city council. Yeah, there are HDFC rentals.
My interpretation was that they wanted a resolution from us to go to HPD to approve the co-op ownership. That was what I understood.
Yeah, right. But they can't get the tax abatement, which is going to make it affordable until they go to the city council. The city council is the only one that can give them a tax abatement. So yes, they want to go to HPD, but then everybody goes to.
They just said they're only in the process and they're coming to us first, right?
Yeah.
They're coming to us first, that our support for the project, and I think we should have a broad support for both results.
Okay.
Rental and ownership.
Yeah, and I think that we really should speak to the co-op aspect of this, the homeownership, because I don't think that people would have thought that was a workable solution. It's important to show
Well, they
that
said they're making no money, it's a loss, it's all about getting
On this
the.
side.
On this site, they're gain on the
This
other side, it's not on.
No, not on this site, on this side of the transaction.
Right.
Oh, no, I didn't,
Because
I meant.
I
yeah,
assume that they believe that they'll have a magnified result.
Yeah, clearly.
On the
And I
other
think the
side, but
homeownership
that's.
is great. I mean, it
Yeah,
also adds to the community. I mean, people are
Makes sense.
more committed
It's
to
very
the community
different,
than
yeah.
they're in. I mean, it's.
But it also provides, which I think is the challenge and one of the biggest things about what is not talked about with rent stabilization is it provides a long-term home
Right.
within which people can raise themselves, a
Right.
family or whatever it
Family, yep.
is, and live for some time, and it creates without
Same thing.
big
Yeah.
disruption, and that's what the homeownership provides. And I think that that's one of the challenges
Yeah.
that we hear against rent stabilization is that people don't look at it that way. They think, oh, you just get through, if you have a transient population, which we have a high number of market rate apartments, they don't recognize the value that that's what rent stabilization provides,
Yeah.
but through a
Yeah.
rental unit.
Of course, that's right. And it allows people to start businesses and, be
Equity.
creative. Susan has another comment, please.
I have a question, actually. This home ownership opportunity is being offered at a discount. What is the restriction on someone who is able to make the purchase in terms of, are they allowed to then realize if they then sell? What is the limit?
They need to find
Saying that. Income restriction.
Income restricted buyer, right?
Right, yeah.
I think if you go on HPD Connect, it outlines a lot of the,
But if they're like a 40% NI, they have to find another.
There's no windfall opportunity in here. That's what I'm.
What they said was the cost of, what do you call it? The cost of living increase. They could get, so they might be able to make that profit, if you call that a profit, but, just the cost of living, it's not, they can flip
Yeah,
it.
they're not making it cheap.
so if you've ever owned property in New York City, I think if you've owned any property within 100 miles of New York City, you can't apply. You have an asset test. There's a lot of restrictions on who can participate.
Right, although if you have a trust fund, it's a different story, it's
Not
sometimes.
even mention, I mean, I think if they,
And if there are criticisms of it, it's not.
no, but I think if you look at if you look at the criteria,
I lived in one.
well, no, I mean, but I
It may be
think,
different now.
I think it's different now.
Yeah,
and
Crackdown.
yes.
They're
It's
not asking,
No, it's not just income, it's,
Actual assets.
Yeah.
Should we make a note of like welcoming creative new ways to incorporate affordable housing into our community board? Potentially. Happy to see these different models.
Yeah, I think happy to see them out there.
Diversity.
I don't think it's so much creative, it's just people didn't think they would be used.
Yeah.
We
welcome creative ways to build on our initiative for affordable housing. We're not gonna,
they had three lots, they owned the garage too. I mean, it was so perfect.
But the other thing though is that, remember, the resolution from what we were asked for and what we're doing, this is to support them and their
Right.
endeavors for this project, not
Right.
to
support
make
everything.
broader.
Right.
Yeah, well, the next question I was gonna ask would be kind of ask the city and state for more affordable housing for these type of projects, but maybe that's.
I think they're gonna come, because if these people make money, we're gonna see more of it.
Yeah,
Well,
but just to like,
there's only
you're
so many
earlier.
buildable lots and what the creativity is in the reuse of existing.
Yeah, well, they're taking down one building.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
building it up.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, but also we saw it on Lafayette Street, there's a building taken down.
Yes, right.
And it wasn't ever identified. So what the creativity is people identifying smaller lots, or like some people on this committee who've commented before, people have come to buy their whole buildings. Approaching co-ops about, we just want to buy the whole building. So who knows what this.
Who knows? Well, I will say that I looked up Mr. Madigan, and he was very involved in the Brooklyn Naval Yard in the development of the film studio there. So
He
he's
used to have
pretty,
the film, he used the silver cup, that's where I met him.
yeah, so he's got a pretty good record with the city and knows how to get around, government bureaucracy, make things happen. So I think I think that's a good possibility. He has a track record. Okay, so we'll work on all of this and get it to you.
Okay.
Not tomorrow.
Are we concluding?
I think we're adjourning it.
And this is all for this next full board.
Carter.
That's for the board.
People will open, I saw construct, are they gonna open up a car where we didn't?
end the meeting?
Want to help? That would be great.
Talk to Carter about that spreadsheet too.
Bye.
Carter mentioned